If you're looking for some drama to cap off your Saturday night, come and stay a while for some Saturday night football between the Chapman Panthers and the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen. We are live on Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network's coverage of SCIAC football. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh Blinder alongside a healthy Zoe Franklin.
Yes, so thrilled to be here. Was unable to commentate during that Chapman's Redlands broadcast due to an illness, but just like in football, I had a substitute who is standing here to my left, and now here we are co-commentating this game together, and it's bound to be an exciting one.
It is. This is a rivalry game between these two teams. Temperature's starting to drop a little bit, so it's going to add a little bit of an extra flavor to this one. So let's take a look at the standings right now in the SCIAC Conference. We've had games played already earlier today, and at the top of all, the Claremont Mudscript Stags. You see the Redlands Bulldogs and the Pomona Pitzer Sage Hens.
Yeah, and towards the middle, you see the Chapman Panthers, and below them, you see the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen. So not as high stakes of a game as one might have hoped, but this game is still impactful, and that it's worth mentioning that one loss, Redlands, was against these Chapman Panthers, so they still have impact in every game they play.
They do. These two teams met earlier in the season in September. That game was at Calu, a wild one. Chapman able to come up with a win 42-21. The Kingsmen went for two at the end of it, came up just a bit shy, and Chapman survived.
Yeah, that two-point conversion missed. That score 42-41. Absolute heartbreaker at home. You know those Kingsmen haven't forgotten that as they're coming onto the Panthers' home field, hoping to do the same to them. Obviously, that's not what the Panthers want. If you look at these two teams and compare them directly, you'll see the Chapman Panthers with an overall record of 5-3, the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen 3-6. Both these teams offensive powerhouses, 35 points per game for the Panthers, 26 points per game for the Kingsmen.
Oh, if you're ready to have a breakdown on good offensive football, we've got it for you tonight. The receiving cores on both sides, really talented. That yards per game, if you're looking for some points, you're absolutely in the right spot. There's going to be fireworks. We talked about how scoring that first game was, and tonight those defenses definitely going to have to adjust, Zoe.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to go onto the field with a player unfortunately unable to play in this game. Here up on the booth, we have Josh Blinder, and on the field, we have Josh Finehurst. It's a double Josh game. Let's take it down to the field.
I will be your sideline reporter tonight, giving you all of the necessary updates from the field. But first, we have special guest, senior offensive lineman Kenny Korber. Kenny, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
All right, so describe your emotions as it will be your last home game as a Chapman Panther.
I mean, it feels surreal, not being able to play really sucks. This isn't the way anybody envisions their season to end, but sometimes stuff happens. I'm just trying to be out there, support my guys how I can, just doing whatever I can to help those guys.
Yeah, for sure. So what was your favorite moment over these last 4 years as a football player here at Chapman?
I'd say easily my freshman year, winning the SCIAC, that was huge. Coming in freshman year, just like seeing the senior leadership, the skill, the work that they all put in and see like the results. It was great as a freshman to see because, everybody in my class, we tried, recreating that every year. And, we've done everything like we could. And like just the little things, hanging out in the locker room, those are things I'm going to miss a ton because, nothing's going to be like this ever again in my life. So I'm happy for every moment.
Yeah, for sure. I was not here when you guys won the SCIAC yet. I was still in high school, but I hear about it a lot, and it seems like you guys really take that to heart. But as you've already said, sadly you cannot play tonight. You got the cast on the hand. What does it mean to you to not be able to play tonight, and how are you going to still help the team?
I mean, it sucks not being out there. Like as an athlete, you feel like you could give your best when you're out there playing, helping your team physically, but I can't do that anymore. And like I feel like my place now is just trying to get the guy who's behind me, get him ready to play mentally, not just physically, but like there's a lot of like mental things that go into this, like getting them confident, making sure they know the plays, supporting them if they make a mistake, let them know, hey, you're going to get more chances. Like you just got to take advantage of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That's all the questions I got for you today. Thank you again, Kenny, for coming on. Back to you, Josh and Zoe, at the desk.
Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff from Josh Finehurst getting that. Big thanks to Kenny for taking the time out to actually do that interview. So let's talk about some of the key players in tonight's matchup. Starting it off, the quarterback for the Kingsmen, that's going to be Nick Lasher. his impact as a mobile quarterback is really important. He had a terrific game against these Panthers earlier in the season, Zoe.
Absolutely. He likes throwing the football. You see those yards on the year, almost 2,000. He likes finding those wide receivers. And speaking of which, that brings us to our second key player, wide receiver Jawan Thomas.
Yeah, Jawan is very versatile on the outside. We'll see that deep play threat ability. They have a lot of really talented wide receivers, weapons for Lasher to utilize. And then that last key player for the Kingsmen is going to be strong safety Gabriel Hernandez. His impact tonight, if he's able to fill holes and play physical and aggressive at the line of scrimmage, is going to be really important, as well as in coverage, taking away the deep shots from the Panthers. So on the other side of things, let's talk about Chapman starting off with their starting quarterback, Nathaniel Espinoza.
Nathaniel Espinoza, the transfer quarterback from Golden West, but looking at him play with these Panthers, you wouldn't know it. You would have assumed he's been here for 2 to 3 years. That chemistry just off the charts, able to find those receivers and able to use his legs. He's very good on that run game despite his injuries this season.
And the reason why that is in the play action, what sets that up is the running back, that versatile backfield led by fifth-year senior running back number 3, Tanner Mendoza. He didn't know if he was going to come back looking to become an orthopedic surgeon of all things. Smart kid, and Tanner, his last home game, expect some fireworks out of number 3, Zoe.
Absolutely. You do not want to meet Tanner Mendoza, especially in the red zone. He is not afraid of being physical. Even if you're a 250-pound linebacker, defensive back, any of it, he will bulldoze right through you.
As we look to the future on the defensive side of the ball, inside linebacker Alex Tariquez, and we've mentioned Blake Seamson, a captain player going down earlier in the year, Simon Hall, an older player, so he's been a man that's had to fill in responsibilities in zone coverage and gaps, and you see 7.5 tackles for loss. That really jumps out on the stat sheet, being able to come down the line. And we talk about simulated pressures on defense, and David Bishop, defensive coordinator, mixing it up. He has a really important impact, and next year might be one of those leaders.
Absolutely. But as we talk about leaders, we can't forget the seniors who have been playing their hearts out. So many fifth-year seniors. A couple of our CSBN members had the opportunity to talk to them earlier in the week, so let's take a look at that.
Cookies, you know, if you look at the food pyramid, cookies are like the biggest category. They're the most important thing that you could be eating, because no matter what, they make you gain weight. And as a college defensive lineman, you can use all the weight you can possibly get. So, love me some cookies.
Honestly, at the end of high school, I was ready to hang up the cleats. I had some stuff go on with college recruiting, and I was just ready to be done with football. And then Coach Shine had reached out with Coach Adams, and then I met up with Coach O, and then I'm here today.
Coach O here, he builds men. You know, he doesn't just build great players. So I became a better man. I've learned a lot of lessons here. It set me up for my career and everything in between, and I think it's just a really good spot to be. My plan is to go to med school here within the next 2 years, and I'm on the track to be an orthopedic surgeon eventually. That's the main goal. So I mean, there's definitely going to be a team aspect in the operating room, things like that. So being able to communicate, you know, lead by example, you know, things like that, and just have a close-knit group of people. That's really going to be similar to football.
It teaches teamwork to a degree that a lot of other sports don't, and a lot of other settings in life can't. You know, especially while I was injured, I found a way to find a role, you know, find the small little thing that can still help the team.
Lessons Chapman's taught me is just you gotta compete, gotta grind, if you want it, you gotta be out here, put the time in when other guys aren't. Working out on your own, running routes, just getting better. If you want to be the dude, then you gotta put the time in.
You know, kind of like put that onto your life, like, you know, when your boss is on you, and like you can, like, you know, kind of faint away and kind of like succumb to the pressure, or you can like just keep going, keep pushing away. You got a final, you got 3 finals the same day, you know, you can like freak out and like, or you can just like grind away in the classroom, hit the library, late nights, early mornings. That's what we're about.
I definitely had a different route in mind. Coming out of high school, I had a Marine Corps scholarship, and I went up to a military academy up in Vermont, and I definitely envisioned that the rest of my life was going to be spent in the Marine Corps, so definitely didn't think I'd ever have the opportunity to play football again.
I was following up the two-time All-American Eli Deeb, so I really had to step up and, you know, get what I had to do done. And the first game I got special teams player, and then the second game of my freshman year I broke the punt record.
If I miss a kick, it's always bad going back to the sideline, but you just have to worry about the next kick, worry about the next day. That's the best thing I've learned from football so far. I think being able to really get to know the guys, bond during team bonding and all that, I think it's been really good. Just the whole mentality is a lot better than last year, in my opinion. But it's been good. I love these guys to death.
My favorite moment was winning in triple overtime against Linfield in our first ever playoff game. That was just the most physically and mentally demanding game of my career. And winning that just was pure euphoria, and everyone was happy and worked so hard.
I never thought I would have to overcome and challenges that I never thought I'd have to face and never faced before. And then having a support system with my teammates who were my roommates, the coaches, the program in general has been huge for all of that.
Really just turned me into a man. I mean, I've been playing football my whole life, it's all I've known, and it's really just matured me every year that I've played. The coaches that I've had, teammates that I've had, just learning and bonding and just growing in football has really been super beneficial to my life.
I'm also a fifth-year senior, just taking the semester to play and take my last class. So
Why did you decide to play
I wasn't done yet.
I mean, you can kind of take it as like philosophy-wise, you know, under high-pressure situations, like what are you going to do? If we don't win, and that's not even a question, we're going to win.
It's time to defend our home turf. It's time to make a statement.
A lot of really cool stuff in that package put together by our students. We're talking about players saying that they're taking more than just being football players. This program's turning them into men. We saw them talk about the success they've had in this program moving forward. Really cool.
Absolutely. A big shout out to CSBN members, Kaylee Smith, who produced that, Ben Sherman and Stephen Hogenkamp for shooting that, and Emily Cho for editing that. Really great to hear what those seniors have thought. Obviously, they've been here, some of them 5 years. That's a big chunk of time to get to know your fellow players. Commit yourself to a sport, commit yourself to a team.
Now, when we talk about the locker room here, it's preached to be able to, find family, really to work together to achieve a common goal, whatever that is. They went in trying to win the SCIAC, not able to do that this year, but there's more you can take away in terms of lesson, and this program does a good job in being able to take in certain players off of high school and coming in, maybe being a star of their team, and it might take them a while to get used to a new system, like a wide receiver coming in that was really well recruited, and this Chapman program is going to really turn them into a great football player.
Absolutely. We start to see some of those senior players entering the field with their parents, and we can't forget to mention them, those support systems, supporting their athletes out on the field. I bet some of them were there that entire 5 hours when we were broadcasting in the rain.
Absolutely. I can speak to, we talk about John Kral, his dad, he had his mom out there, and he's a player that came out of Clemson. He transferred from there. That's Coach Owens, and you can see him hugging every player. That was Vincent Jara. Coming up, that's left tackle Donovan Porter, who he's hugging and shaking hands with everybody. That man, Harrison Gross, has worked really hard to be out there and play in tonight's game. He's had an ACL injury, a broken collarbone. See Connor Dotzler, a tight end, Jordan Bruce. All of these players on this roster have their own impact in their own way, and Coach Owens is appreciative of that.
Absolutely. You heard the players talking about how much they appreciate Coach Owens. You heard it directly from them. They build men. They don't just build football players. They build well-rounded individuals who will take these experiences with them for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely, and sometimes you have to overcome obstacles like injuries or losses, and there's a lot to take from being on a team like this, and you can see just how many players there are down on the field. A couple of them potentially thinking about coming back, like the fourth-year senior players that might have an opportunity, but the fifth-year guys, this is absolutely their last opportunity to show this Chapman crowd what they can do. As you get a shot of Carson Campuzano on the field from that previous one, and it's going to be fun as this one is unpacked, and we'll send it to the PA, Stephen Oliveda, for tonight's honorary celebrations of senior night.
Many of these seniors helped the Panthers to a SCIAC championship in 2019 and have been the leaders guiding the program out of difficult times of the COVID pandemic. In the last 4 years, the Panthers have put together a record of 22-7, including a 13-4 record in the SCIAC. Coach Owens, his staff, and the entire Chapman Athletics department would like to honor these men for their hard work and dedication. Defensive back, number 1, Carson Campuzano, with his parents, Ray and Shannon. Running back, number 3, Tanner Mendoza, with his parents, Stephen Lee. Defensive back, number 3, Ryan Haight, with his mom, Anna, and his aunt, Mary Sol. Quarterback, number 7, Jack Alexander, with his dad, Jack. Wide receiver, number 9, Wyatt Harden, with his parents, Carl and Shannon. Defensive end, number 11, Evan Green, with his parents, Bill and Katie. Wide receiver, number 11, John Crawl, with his parents, John and Stacy. Wide receiver, number 13, Spencer Corona, with his dad, Robert, and Aunt Rebecca. Linebacker, number 15, Brockton Schloff, and his brother, offensive lineman, number 51, Braden Schloff, with his parents, Stephanie and Patrick, and their brothers, Brandon and Braxton. Defensive back, number 22, Zach Cox, with his parents, Carl and Sarah. Defensive back, number 24, Cody Peressa, with his parents, Mike and Dan. Punter, number 30, Owen Tapia, with his parents, Linda and James. Kicker, number 31, Ken Byroll, with his parents, Gary and Madoka. Linebacker, number 34, Davey Cooper, with his parents, Ken Gurries. Linebacker number 35, Blake Simpson, with his parents Jonathan and Elizabeth. Running back number 36, Jack Cartwright, with his parents Scott and Alice. Offensive lineman number 56, Kenny Kerber, with his parents Tom and Maddie. Linebacker number 57, Alfonso Barmore Jr., with his mom Rodora. Offensive lineman number 59, Vincent Jara, with his parents Michael and Danielle. Offensive lineman number 69, Jonathan Porter, with his parents Roselle and Natasha. Wide receiver number 80, Harrison Gross, with his parents Stephen and Jill. Tight end number 89, Connor Dotzler, with his dad Frank. Defensive end number 90, Jordan Bruce, with his parents John and Tracy. Defensive end number 95, Vinny Caparo, with his parents Tina and Evan. Defensive lineman number 96, Jonathan Sheets, with his parents Jeff and Carol. And defensive lineman number 97, Liam Myers, with his parents Fabiola and Jonathan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one more time for your Chapman football class of 2022. And he'll find it.
Really cool to see all of those seniors get recognized, Zoe. A lot of these guys been in the program a really long time and been able to stick with it through the tough times, obviously. But tonight, it's going to be a big football game and a chance for them to, give their thanks back to those fans and, their parents that have been there throughout their career.
Absolutely, and we see them behind us taking a big old group photo. Obviously, these group of seniors, pretty tight-knit. They've been with each other for so long.
Right, a big group of these guys, and there's a lot of them. And we talk about it. It's 26, Zoe. That's a lot of players. Last year we had 34 on this team, and then on the Cal Lutheran side of everything, they've got a lot of seniors playing, and their last ever game. This is their last game of the season.
Yeah, these Chapman Panthers have one more game after this, but for the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen, this is it. So it puts up those stakes even higher for them.
It does, and you can see the trainer get in the middle of it. That's Pam Gibbons, and I know a little bit about tennis, a couple of injuries throughout my tennis career, so Pam's always been able to have a big impact trying to keep these guys healthy. As you can see her give a big hug to Tanner Mendoza. When you see a physical player like him, that caliber, it's important to talk about the ATR, the athletics training room, and some guys spend a lot of time in there.
Absolutely. And you know, sometimes that's just what happens. There are injuries that happen, and you don't want that, especially in a game like this, the final home game. When we had Josh Feinhurst talk to Kenny Kerber, you could see just how badly he wanted to play. But when you're injured, you can't risk your health like that.
A couple of these players have me ready to go out there, take the jacket off, and put some pads on. I mean, it's exciting. Last game of the season, senior night, when all of that comes with it. And we'll see how many fans show up because, I mean, the temperature is dropping. 2 weeks ago, we saw just how much some of these Chapman faithful are excited and love this football program. And it's all about love around here and trying to build an organization up, and Coach Owens has done a terrific job of that.
Absolutely, and the seniors on the football team aren't the only seniors. We also have the seniors on the cheer squad. They're here performing at halftime every game at home. Another senior night for them as well, not just the football players.
Yep, so we'll send them down to the field for our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Michaela.
Beautiful national anthem on a night of a lot of emotions, really. Here, it's the end of the season for Chapman football, and the fans are ready for a game that should be pretty tight, honestly.
Absolutely, and these fans, they're not only fans, they're family members, parents, siblings, aunts, uncles. We've heard some of these parents, family, they're at every game, even going beyond that at every practice. That amount of dedication to your players, that support system.
Yeah, I know one of the dads on this Chapman side, Bobby Corona, Spencer Corona's dad, has had a lot of really good relationships set up, and it's really cool to be able to have the opportunity to talk to these parents and coaches, and a huge thanks to the program for allowing Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network to get interviews, to be able to set stuff up, allowing people to go into meetings like myself to try and learn what they're about. Not just about football, but in terms of the other stuff besides just the X's and O's, because when it comes down to it, I mean, you talk about Division III football and knocks it gets. This is a legitimate program.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Zoe, so I think tonight, going into this matchup, we mentioned the offenses, and on the defensive side of the ball, someone I've just been thinking about. Last game at home, Ryan Haith, and what kind of impact he will have. He's been playing around in terms of injuries they've had and struggles in the secondary. So Ryan Haith's ability moving around, and he's been at corner, he's been at safety in the back end, moving around, and that's what David Bishop has needed from one of his best players on the defensive side of the ball.
Absolutely. And as we see, those Cal Lutheran captains and the Chapman captains are starting to come out onto the field now, and you know what that means.
Yeah, that's going to mean we'll see some of those powerhouses on this roster, guys that have the leadership roles on this team. One of those players that we can talk about, Wyatt Harden, had over 200 yards on September 10th in Cal Lutheran in that matchup. He's going to be a threat on the outside as well as in the slot. As you can see, Tanner Mendoza leading the way. You take a look at that shot of the Panthers. Sometimes people like to rub it, touch it, some of the magic, superstitious stuff. And on the field, you can see Wyatt Harden, Tanner Mendoza, as well as Donovan Porter down there on the field. And all of them ready to come together and get this football game underway.
Yes, it's going to be interesting to see the results of this coin toss, because the Chapman Panthers in every single game this season, they've received the ball first. Whether they won the coin toss or lost it, they've received that ball first. They've always been on offense first, and that is their strong suit. So depending on the results of this coin toss, we can see that trend continue or something new.
It is, and it's a really cool moment to see Blake Simpson, even though he won't be playing tonight, him having the opportunity to put his shoulder pads on one last time and put his helmet on and being able to feel the moment with his players. And in that role, he's been able to shift towards kind of like an assistant coach this year.
Yeah, obviously your senior year having to step down due to his 9th concussion, obviously not the way he wanted to go out, but his impact is still felt, and he's taken on that coaching role brilliantly.
He has, and you get set for the coin toss, and as you mentioned, Chapman has had success throughout the season in terms of being able to score first.
And as we're looking on to the results of that,
yeah, it looks like Chapman is going to get the ball first.
Chapman has won the toss and they will receive.
Yeah, so we'll see that offense first for Chapman. Cal Lutheran deciding to kick it.
trend continuing now through 9 games.
Yeah, so let's take a look at the starting lineups for both of these teams and the players that are going to be out there. Some of the more important factors in this game who are, I mean, we talk about both of these sides. They have really good talent on both sides in terms of the wide receiving core for Cal Lutheran on Chapman. A lot of really good players that we're going to be able to break down. You can see that huddle of Cal Lutheran coming together. There's a lot of different rituals we talk about players in terms of being able to support each other. And you know, this is a dangerous sport when it comes down to it. And you see that start off, and guy that jumps out to me is Jaden Klein at tight end. He's going to need to be able to run good routes, catch the football, and be able to help out in blocking.
Absolutely. That offensive line of extreme importance so that they can make room for those offensive wide receivers and running back. Important to note, Isaiah Martin. Cal Lutheran does not like running the football as much as passing it, but Isaiah Martin is that #1 guy, 83 yards per game averaging. That's a huge number, especially considering their second leading rusher, just 16 yards per game.
All right, and then on the defensive side, guys like Jordan Gonzalez and Matt Flynn. Talk about linebackers' importance, and against a Chapman team that has 4 legitimate running backs in the backfield, they stay fresh, and that means they're going to be fast. They're going to hit you, so being able to attack, as you can see, a guy like Gabriel Hernandez, we mentioned earlier, and Keyshawn Charles and defensive end, they got torched in the secondary this first meeting.
Absolutely, and they're going to have to compete against a Chapman offense that is very strong and coming out first. When we talk about that Chapman starting lineup, we have to talk about those 3 senior wide receivers, John Krall, Wyatt Harding, Spencer Corona, all 3 of them having incredible seasons so far.
Yeah, and then Brandon Fleiss coming in the night's game, Vincent Jara. It's going to be interesting how the offensive line is able to rotate. There have been injuries throughout the year up front, and then defensively, Tyler Hardigan loves eating up front. Evan Grieve, who will actually be coming back next year. Ryan Haith in the back end. We were talking about him a little bit as we were getting set for kickoff here at Ernie Chapman Stadium. The Panthers and the Kingsmen. Let's enjoy this senior night game as that ball drops down to the 10-yard line, fielded by Isaiah Woods, making a cutback. He'll be brought down at the 26-yard line where the Panthers will start, Zoe.
Yes, and Isaiah Wood, one of those running backs, part of that Chapman depth. You see him with the kickoff. He decides to run it forward. Good move, I think. You don't want to start so far back where you're at a deficit already, especially when you have an offense that is so used to moving forward.
Yep, you see Wyatt Harding to start. We mentioned his importance and how good of a game he had. Expect Chapman on this part of the field, maybe taking a shot earlier this first play. One-on-one, top of your screen, Spencer Corona. He's alone out there. Espinoza out of the shotgun, fakes the snap. He's gonna take a shot downfield to Spencer Corona, makes the grab. He's down on the Kingsman 38-yard line. So Chapman goes to Corona, first play of the game. And it looked like some contact, 50-50 ball. He makes a heck of a grab, and he's trying to get this crowd fired up.
Spencer Corona, we've mentioned him so many times here at CSBN. He is so good at finding that route, finding space, and he's dangerous. Defenses in the past haven't adjusted to him, or if they have, they've adjusted to him too late. He's absolutely dangerous out there.
Immediately you saw Cal Lutheran bringing their safeties up, an interesting strategy to leave one of the best wide receivers in Division III football on a one-on-one situation, as Hardin will take that toss to the left side. He'll be upended, not after a really nice gain, and another first down for these Panthers. And we mentioned these strong starts, and we saw a deep ball to Wyatt Hardin on homecoming, a ball that he dropped. And then a week before that, Laverne, Chapman scoring the first play of the game, and then Redland. So this is a team that likes to score quick, and they have the ability to do that with a really accurate passer in Nathaniel Espinoza.
Absolutely, and when they have scored first, they've had tremendous success.
On the outside, looks like cover 4 from the Kingsmen, keeping it in front of them. A nice throw right up the middle. That's James Kroll, the sophomore wide receiver, who's had to fill in at times. Spencer Corona had an injury earlier in the year. I'll also be talking about a senior guy in Harrison Gross, who'll probably have a decent impact in tonight's game. That rotation, Chapman going with 4 wide receivers here on this first drive, taking out that tight end. To Espinoza's left, that's Tanner Mendoza. Fake the handoff, Corona on the outside 10, and he'll be brought down at the 4-yard line. So Chapman, 4 plays into this game, they've got a 1st and goal at the 4-yard line.
And it hasn't even been 2 minutes into this game. We see on that clock still over 13 minutes to go. Already they've gone to 3 different receivers, Spencer Corona, Wyatt Hardin, and James Crowell. Not even a senior that we mentioned. Just that depth already being showcased.
Right here, people talk about be your own blocker. I'd expect the handoff to Mendoza to try and get that one into the end zone. And that one is played really well up front defensively from the Kingsmen. Nice play, being able to shoot through that gap was inside linebacker Matt Flynn. Yeah, so Matt Flynn in that position at 215, that's mobile. When we talk about college football players, they have that speed and responsibilities and coverage in this situation. Now a great play. You'd expect Chapman probably to go to the air on a 2nd and goal from the 7-yard line. Espinoza has good legs, so something maybe trying to get him on the outside.
And we see as they start to line up just how close those are, working that man-to-man coverage.
Espinoza looking over the middle of the field. He is under pressure, and he'll be brought down, sacked back at the 16-yard line. Nice play defensively from the Kingsmen, being able to bottle that one up. That was Devin Gooseby, the defensive end, the sack.
That's a tough one if you're Nathaniel Espinoza. He had to scramble a bit, couldn't quite get his footing, couldn't find the receiver he was looking for, couldn't use those legs that he likes to utilize so much.
Right, you call that a coverage sack. Bottom of your screen, though, Spencer Corona one-on-one. Doesn't look like there's going to be any safety help. This is going to be a free play. Espinoza going to Corona. He's into the end zone. Touchdown, Chapman. They get a free play. You see Aaron Rodgers do this in the NFL. They go to Corona, and the Panthers strike first, take a 6-0 lead here at home.
And if you're looking at the trends here at Ernie Chapman Stadium, that is exactly what you want to see. And we're going to look at this replay.
Yeah, you can just see them trying to draw him off. One-on-one, we mentioned it. No help as it's a low snap, but it will be up and good. The Panthers scoring first very quickly, 7-0, and a mistake that you can't make on the Cal Lutheran side and jumping off. It's a 3rd and goal in the 16. You just need to hold tough, and you can force them to 3, which you talk about some of the best offenses in college football. Sometimes holding them to 3 is everything you want. If you can hold them to a field goal on every drive, that's a win.
Exactly. If you get 8 field goals, which sounds like a lot, but it's 24 points, which is just over 3 touchdowns. As we see the punting team coming out now. Another senior punter, Owen Tapia.
And the temperature continuing to drop here in Orange. We had a cold one 2 weeks ago with that Redlands Chapman game, and the weather definitely a factor. Tonight, this is beautiful, though. If it's 50 degrees, I mean, it could be 30 as long as there's no rain and lightning. And you're excited to be on the call for this as Owen Tapia will send this one down. A bit of gust of wind as it'll be brought out 2 yards deep, crossing the 15-yard line with some space up to that 25, and he'll be brought down at the 27-yard line. A nice return to start that one off from the Kingsmen, and that offense is going to come out onto the field.
What do you think of the decision to run the ball forward even though he received it in the end zone? Because we know in college football, if you just touch back your knee, you will automatically start at that 25-yard line. What is the risk versus reward of running that ball?
Yeah, it is pretty evident when we talk about those situations after Coxum took that ball out. You have to make a decision, and he's able to get 2 extra yards, and the reward is yards as he's able to break through the middle, a big hole. First play of the game, that's Isaiah Martin. They're going to be giving him the ball quite a bit. He's been really successful on the ground for the Kingsmen this season, so a nice gain, hole on the left side, and a first down.
We talked about him a little bit in the pre-show. He's that #1 running back, and if it keeps working, you keep going to it. That's why you see him have over 80 yards per game.
You can see Chapman's corners on the outside, a bit closer to the line of scrimmage. You can see Ryan Haith. Corner as Lasher keeps that one. He's got the edge, crossing the 45. He's almost at the 30-yard line. 2 plays, and they're already deep into Chapman territory. Keeping it on the ground, Zoe.
Exactly. This is exactly what we saw in week 2. Chapman quick to score a touchdown. Cal Lutheran, they haven't quite answered yet, but they're moving fast, moving down the field. Again, only just about 2 minutes off the clock.
This is a team going up against head coach Bob Owens, 2014 named the coach of the year in the SCIAC. Very tough guy. He's an offensive-minded coach. And they obviously score some points as we have play action going back across the field. A very dangerous pass, and that's going to be intercepted by Isaac Holbrook, bringing it up to the 27-yard line. That one's overthrown. He had an opportunity, but you could see Holbrook, who plays an outside corner just in a deep third, sitting back on that, coming up and making that play. And he's able to get a nice return, and the Panthers getting a big play on defense. That's something that they've sort of struggled in, is not getting big plays on the defensive side of the football.
Absolutely. They've had very limited interceptions this year. I believe just about four or five on the year, and that momentum shift is crucial, getting your offense, your strong point back on the field.
I know who's excited right now is offensive coordinator Casey Sharns. He had a 7-point lead After a nice drive, you can see the motion to the left side from Omar as Espinoza is going to take a shot downfield. Open is John Kroll catching at the 25. He's going to scamper into the end zone for a touchdown. Panthers striking 73 yards on the touchdown. One play, you can see the separation. John Kroll one-on-one again on the outside. He just beats his man. The Panthers up 13-0 with 9:56 to go in the first quarter.
And that patience was crucial because if you saw, you're not quite able to see it on this replay, but Nathaniel Espinoza had options. He also had Wyatt Harden out there, but he waited, went to Kroll, who was able to get that big touchdown in just one play.
Yeah, Keyshawn Charles is responsible for that route, and he just let John Kroll get behind him. It's tough to cover, and that's when we put the emphasis on the defensive line to get pressure because Espinoza had time to sit back there, delivers a strike down the field, and just over 5 minutes into this game, the Panthers, the commanding 14-0 lead. So transitioning a little bit right now to the Cal Lutheran side, we talk about some of those seniors. What do you think it means to them? Because this is their last game of the year. You want to go out and spoil this game for the Chapmans.
Absolutely. You know, you don't play sports if you're not a competitively minded person. You always want to win. And you know it's more difficult at home. And not to sound morbid, but it kind of means a little bit more to get that revenge, make it hurt on their senior night.
Zoe Franklin saying, make it hurt on Cal Lutheran. Are they able to do that? They got an opportunity getting the football, but the mistake. And sometimes in football, it just comes down to turnovers. And that was something they didn't do until late in the fourth quarter against Chapman, as Tapia with a really low kick and a mistake as that ball goes out of bounds, and it'll give the Kingsmen the football with good field position.
Very out of character for Owen Tapia. He's been really good on the
Free
year.
kick out of bounds.
Against Whittier, he had a career-high punt, an 80-yard punt, which is the longest punt in the SCIAC, not even the SCIAC, in Division III this year, and third in the country of all divisions. You might not see that on the internet because, well, Division III isn't always accurately represented, but mistake for Tapia that he'll have to make up later.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how the Kingsmen respond here, down 2 scores. Are they going to try and keep it on the ground where they had success the first 2 plays of this game? Lasher out of the pistol set. He'll hand it off to Martin up the middle. Dive forward for a gain of 2 yards on first down. Well played defensively by Vinny Cafaro.
You saw those players. They were giving them a little bit more space. You're seeing that here still.
Yeah, you're mentioning that space. Look at Cade Jordan, number 7 on the outside. Aldridge, it's a great way to point that out, Zoe. And them being up and not having their foot in their hand in the dirt. And again, they stay on the ground. Talking about that going into this drive, they're trying to establish the ground game. And when you talk about offensive football, try and establish the run first and then the pass. Panthers don't do that. They just take 2 shots in the first place of their drive. Started off by Cal Lutheran in an obvious 3rd down and long passing situation. Looks like Chapman is in a variation of a cover 3 coverage, or they're just going to keep the middle of the field. That's actually a bit of man as they're going to go over the middle. That's going to be a tackle made by Isaac Holbrook. So we talk about the variation and them bailing right off the line. They play a bit of bump and run man coverage on the outside, being able to be physical with their guy and then run with them speed. It's really important for these Chapman defenders to have athleticism, to have good wheels to run with wide receivers.
Absolutely, and it's looking like that ball came up short, so that's going to be a 4th down for the Kingsmen.
So this is a 4th down and 2 already. Lasher out of the pistol. He's going to motion his tight end to the right side, open for a gain is Connor Matzke, 6'3" senior in what could be the last game of his career. And we saw at the beginning of that, moving Jaden Klein to the right side of the formation and Chapman having to adjust. That's a situation that they've struggled with this year, is when defenses flip sides and they motion players and haven't always been set up in the right spots in their assignments.
But they were able to convert there. They've actually been better on the year at those 4th down conversions than those 3rd down conversions, which can be a little risky, especially when you're that close to your opponent's territory.
Lasher dropping back over the middle of the field. He's got a completion. That is Klein. And a first down. It's good to see number 33, Harrison Donato, back out. He had a foot injury that might have been a season ender, but he's going to be a player that comes back for the Panthers and plays in the future. Again, Cal Lutheran going right to the line of scrimmage, and then they do a sort of a variation. You call it freeze, ice cream, try and draw a team off, which we saw the Panthers do. Draw them off, took a shot at the end zone because sets up a free play. Looks like Donato will come. It's a blitz. Going to the outside. Really nice grab made by Matsky. One-on-one on Isaac Holbrook, who just had that interception, and that's a first down for the Kingsmen. They're in the red zone.
Isaac Holbrook was right on him, not letting him get much space at all.
So as we're crossing the midway point of this first quarter, we've seen Cal Lutheran move the ball really well, but executing when you're able to do that. Chapman getting the takeaway, that's been the difference right now. Save a 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. They could get a first at the 1. He'll hand it off, fake the handoff. He's going up. Cade Jordan misses a tackle, takes it down to the 4. Nice play again, using his legs.
Yeah, we talked about that in the pre-show. Both these quarterbacks. We mentioned that second rushing leader for Cal Lutheran, about 16 yards, 17 yards per game, that is their quarterback, Nick Lasher, which tells you how much they rely on their quarterback for their offense.
It does, and already not boding well for the Kingsmen. The Panthers 99-36 all time when they score first. So when we look at historically, they do very well. They get on the scoreboard. First team up the middle is Martin coming in. Late flag thrown on that end. One of those Panthers just looked like he got tackled. That back end we'll hear from head official referee for tonight. And
Holding. Offense number 41. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot, 2nd down.
yeah, they're going to march back a little bit after that holding call. You saw defensive lineman just falling forward, and that really hurts you because you have a 2nd and 3 at the 4, and probably you have 3 chances just to run the football. You get a shot of the sideline. Blake Simpson, he's got the jersey on. That's cool to see instead of just out there in joggers and being able to have an impact. So this will be a 2nd and 18 for the Kingsmen, 2nd and 13. As Lasher takes the snap, going to the right side. Had an opportunity to get it, to get a completion there, and that one will fall incomplete. Looking for Tyler Shimamura.
And that hurts if you're the Kingsmen. You were so close to the end zone, so close to getting a score on the board, and instead you're pushed back farther by a penalty call. We've seen those really hurt the Panthers and the Kingsmen throughout the year.
You can see how far off Ryan Haith is playing at the bottom of your screen in coverage on Shimamura, and he just beat him on the inside. Could have had that catch for a touchdown. Lasher dropping back. Chapman sets pressure off the edge. Julian Aldridge gets to him, and that's a sack for the Panthers, which is going to set up difficult field goal attempt for the Kingsmen, and that's going to be their kicker, Daniel Burgos. We got on the field for, which looks to be a 40-yarder.
We challenged the defense up here a little bit verbally. I wonder if they heard us because they're making plays that have stopped this offense 2 drives in a row.
Arona, the snapper for the Kingsmen. 40-yard field goal. Snap is good. The hold is good, and that kick is going to sail wide left. Kingsmen, after 2 really nice drives, come up empty again. Had the ball at the 4. The holding call ends up shutting that down. And now the Panthers get the ball back with a 14-0 lead. And again, you asked the question, are the Panthers going to continue to attack? I think absolutely, and you can see that offense.
And it really started with that sack in the back of the field. But now the offense is back on the field.
Will be motioning hard into the right side. Espinoza rolling to the right side. He's going to get it out to his wide receiver, Wyatt Harden, for a short gain there on first down. Chapman, I mean, a lot of teams, and they like to mix it up and try and set up mismatches for their wide receivers and get a look at coverage, is using that pre-snap motion, and it helps you as a quarterback because if a corner follows with them, it could be man if they bump up to the outside looking at zone, and it can really confuse the defensive schematics. Bishop talks about how fundamentally sound you have to be, and bottom of your screen, you can see how much space they're giving Corona as they're going to hand it off to Isaiah Woods, right side, but again, well played defensively by that Kingsman front.
Yeah, you talked about how much space Spencer Corona had, and they're trying to establish that run game, but we've seen it a trend throughout these games in the SCIAC. The first 4 non-conference games, the Panthers had 15 rushing touchdowns. Since the SCIAC conference games, just 2. It goes to show how much that passing game has been working for them.
Nice play by White, and again, you can see the Kingsmen almost jumping offsides again. Well played defensively. This is a 225-pound kid. He's lined up in that outside, call it like a 5 technique, outside shoulder of that right tackle, and that one is going to be caught. Spencer Corona flashing the gloves a little bit with another grab. Panthers with the first down, and you can see him topping the helmet, and wisely he's like, I'm a little bit tired. Let's throw someone else in there with a little bit more energy. Go out there and play wide receiver.
Absolutely. Spencer Corona was unable to play in this final game of the season last year. He's obviously made up for it in this game already. So I think he deserves a little bit of a break.
That's something that is talked about, his depth. We see Kelly Hughesby, number 85, a sophomore, big kid. He could play tight end, 6'4", probably about 210 pounds. And we see another tight end, tie motion right side, faking the handoff to Reyes. Espinoza to the right, and he's just going to loft that one towards the sideline, looking for his wide receiver, number 2, Justin Zimmer. He's a transfer player, and next year, that could be an interesting connection between their quarterback, Nathaniel Espinoza, Zimmer. We talked about James Kroll a little bit earlier, and obviously those big 3 fifth-year senior guys, but the future, Espinoza's coming back, and there's a lot of young talent on this roster that just haven't had opportunities.
Absolutely. Kelly Hughesby, he had his first touchdown on the year this season, and he's looking to kind of step it up. Obviously, when it's the seniors game, do you want to overshadow them? Maybe yes, maybe no.
Espinoza again out of the shotgun, throwing that one well caught by John Krull. And he'll be tackled down. Again, not after a nice gain, picking up a nice chunk.
And John Krull, another one of those senior wide receivers. It feels like we've already talked about these senior wide receivers so much, but it is still just the first quarter. That just goes to show this depth and how much of an impact they have.
Yeah, and this is a Cal Lutheran team that loves man coverage, which is just one-on-one situationally, and you can see just how much the safety is already trying to back off. At the bottom of your screen, Corona, that guy's playing about 10 yards off of him in coverage, respecting him. That's John Lopez, a cornerback. And on the top of your screen, you see very similar thing as Espinoza dumps it off one-on-one. Reyes breaks a tackle, crossing the 25, trying to hurdle a man inside the 20-yard line. A nice gain by Marcos Reyes.
It's not just the wide receivers getting those passes. We're bringing it to the running backs, too. Marcos Reyes, another of those senior running backs, might come back next year to play. He's been here 4 years, but he said, I want some of that action.
He did, and that was Jackson White out there even trying to hurdle. Corona catches that. Up past the 10, inside the 5, trying to dive for the end zone. And he's going to be marked out at the 3-yard line. They said he stepped out.
We saw a very similar situation in that Redlands game when Spencer Corona dived. That one, though, they counted the touchdown. Obviously, this situation, the call goes a little bit different.
And in this situation, the Panthers will bring in sophomore running back Gio Orsino for a 2-back set, and they'll take out a tight end. Interesting, usually inside the 5, you might think a little bit more beef type players, bigger guys to help block, and now some versatility out of the backfield. This is Espinoza out of the shotgun. We'll hand it off to Marcos Reyes, trying to lunge forward, and they're giving it to him. Touchdown, Panthers. They take a 20-0 lead. Marcos Reyes right up the middle for the score.
We talked about this offense being extremely effective. I don't know if even we were expecting this much, this quickly. 3 touchdowns with still 30 seconds left in the first quarter.
This snap will be good. The hold is good and the kick is good. Panthers taking a 21-0 lead. The left hand, Marcos Reyes reaching it out, crosses the pylon. That's a touchdown for Chapman as you get an angle. Well shot by our camera people on this broadcast. There's a lot of them, and they do a great job for us all year long. This is the last football broadcast of the season. We still got basketball coming here on CSBN. Did a volleyball game last Saturday, so the versatility of our students.
Exactly, and we have soccer tomorrow. The men's team in the SCIAC finals. They played the semifinals yesterday, won 1-0 there. That goal was in the first 10 minutes. That'll be exciting to watch. But for now, we're back to football.
This is Tapia, who had a little scuffle with one of his teammates this week in practice on Thursday night, but all is well within the locker room as that kick will be booted well deep into the end zone and taken for a touchback. You can see Owen getting that one deep. There's a bit of wind sort of swirling throughout this. It's coming from a lot of different directions, and the impact it'll have. If anyone looked at that Ohio State Northwestern game, one of the best offenses in college football, the Buckeyes not even able to utilize their really good passing attack.
No, Mother Nature does not stop, even for football, Division I, II, or III. So if that wind continues to pick up, that could really impact the passing game, which we've seen Chapman utilize already so much tonight.
So with 30 seconds left in the first quarter, this is the Kingsman offense back out. Lasher taking the snap, and that one, he has got to get that one just out to his wide receiver, hit him. I think he thought he was going to run that route a little bit shallower and break back to the football.
Yeah, and he had Cade Jordan following him there. He had space, but we'll never know because the pass was short.
Yeah, looking for Jawan Thomas, who we're talking about in the pregame show. And we'll see. He's out in coverage. Cooper Ehlers had 2 interceptions against Whittier his last time playing football at corner. That matchup 2 weeks ago at Whittier. Pressure up the middle coming, and that's 2 straight incompletions. And with 23 seconds, Cal Lutheran already in trouble on this drive. As we could see, Lasher trying to get the football to Jaden Klein, but pressure up the middle, no time to throw.
And that clock is stopped. Only 7 seconds have been taken off since these Kingsmen got the ball. And if you're the Kingsmen, you really don't want the Panthers to get the ball before this quarter even ends. That would just be such a momentum crusher.
Panthers blitzing on 3rd down. They get it to Thomas, and he just flat out drops the football. And right off his hands. As an impact player, you want to make an impact, you got to catch the football, Zoe. And that one goes right through his hands.
Yeah, it's talking football 101. Get the ball, secure it. It's all that it's about. Football, we talk about it, it can be complicated, but at its core, it's very simple.
Yeah, we'll break that down during the half. I really like what you're saying there, Zoe, and the schematics can be tough as this punt will be sent down. Harden coming way up for it. It'll take a Cal Lutheran hop and be brought down at the 35-yard line with 7 seconds remaining. A decent punt from Kyle Howley, but you're talking about, right, the basics of football. And simply, you're just trying to score points, score more points than another team and complete passes down the field. And when you're open, quarterback, if you're good, getting it to that guy.
Yeah.
And if you're a great wide receiver, you're going to be able to block and catch the ball well and be able to give your quarterback an easier chance to complete it and get open. Thomas does so right off the line, good route, slant over the middle of the field. Just has to be able to come up with the grab.
Exactly.
Looks to be the last play of the first quarter. Espinoza under pressure. That looks like a fumble. And Cal Lutheran jumps on it. And they get a huge play on defense, shooting through there. If we could see a replay, Espinoza taking a nice shot.
Fumble recovered by the
on
defense.
defense. Did not look like his hand was coming forward.
Espinoza looks a little bit shaken up on that play. You see him kind of grabbing his chest. He looks all right walking off the field. He has some staff with him, but looking at that replay, yep, you definitely see that in the hands of a Kingsman. We're going to watch it back from the beginning. When we watched it back from the beginning, it just didn't get off to a good start.
Yeah, it was Max Nazarko being able to recover it, ending the first quarter. The Panthers with a big 21-0 lead, but Cal Lutheran going to be set up with terrific field position, Zoe. And they're also going to get the ball at the end of the half and start the second half with the football. So can they score here on this drive? They've moved the football really well, but just have not been able to score any points.
I don't know if it's such a question as can they, more as will they, because if you ask a Cal Lutheran fan, they're going to say that they have to score here. Getting that ball at the half is huge. If they can make those defensive stops against the Panthers, suddenly it'll become a much tighter game than it is now. There's still a lot of time left in this game. The second quarter just beginning.
It is. They've got the ball just outside the 30 at the 33-yard line. And at what point are they going to be able to get over that hump and score? Right now, Panthers defensively, they've got Ehlers, bottom of your screen at corner number 25. He's in coverage on Angel for the King. That's actually Matsky, as they're going to do a little bit of trickery. Throwing it downfield, wide open is the tight end. That's going to be a touchdown, Cal Lutheran, giving it to Jaden Klein. And the Kingsmen start off the second quarter.
And you asked when they were going to get over the hump. That is your answer right now. Right there, right now. One play. They're saying, we're here, don't count us out.
Yeah, you can see just Lasher tossing it to his player. He looks like he's going to run it. Decides to throw it back across his body. And the Kingsmen, their first score of the night. And that PAT is going to be no good. So the Kingsmen do score, but don't tack on the extra point and still trail this game 21-6.
And that extra point is big. We're a football family in my household. We have a saying, you only have to win by 1 point. That was exemplified by these two teams. We'll see if that extra point comes back to bite them later.
Yeah, so Chapman still up 15 points, gonna get the football, and you can see Espinoza trying to get loose. You can see to the right of him, that was Brant Bachelet, number 17, warming up, and we'll see who comes back in. And then Nate's toughness. There's no way you can question his ability to play through injury throughout this year. First play of the season, tore his meniscus, and he's had to battle through that. But Cal Lutheran, the strike, and obviously no PAT, but I like the creativity. That was a fun play.
Yeah, we saw something similar. Chapman against Redlands, Wyatt Harden, almost out of desperation, threw it to Quentin Biebel. Obviously that play didn't count because of a flag, but creativity was successful here.
This kick will be sent down to Isaiah Woods at his own 2-yard line, crossing the 10, working it to the right side, and tackled down at the 21-yard line. That's where Chapman will take over, and I would expect Espinoza to come out onto the field and in that huddle. But right now, conversation that you're having down there with quarterbacks coach Michael Leahy is to just be yourself right now if you're Espinoza, who is coming back out. You can see number 1 And what he's looking for, 3 to 5 unscripted type first downs, where you're using your legs when you're under pressure, making it happen, and then fundamentally sound football and not forcing anything and turning the ball over, as he will hand it off right side. Gio Ursino with the burst, crossing the 40. He's past midfield. Ursino's crossing the 30-yard line, cut back. He's going to go all the way for a touchdown. Ursino takes it to the house. A 79-yard touchdown run from Ursino. And the Panthers take a 27-6 lead. The wheels from number 20.
We love saying his name here at CSBN. That's Gio Ursino, another sophomore player. We were talking about those older players, and he's one of those younger guys, sophomore.
Look at the blocking on the right side. You can see pulling tackles, Donovan Porter on the left side of that, Gavin Scott on the right side at right guard, and the cutback moving back to the left, as this extra point will be good. Right after Cal Lutheran scores, the Panthers go to the ground, give it to Ursino, but the blocking on that right side done really well.
And that's going to be their first rushing touchdown since that Redlands game. So almost 3 weeks without a rushing touchdown. Just goes to show you they have versatility and they're not afraid to use it.
And the speed of Ursino, it looked like he was going to be caught right around midfield. And an extra bit of boost. I don't know where he got that from. We're going to have to ask him where he got that. It looked like he had a jetpack or some sort of rocket booster, maybe Mario Kart coming into play right there. Gio Ursino using one of those gift packages in a Mario Kart race, as Panthers now with 28 points with just 30 seconds into this second quarter. Cal Lutheran, who are in a shootout with this Chapman team, no answers on the defensive side of the ball for the Panther offense. Tapia will kick the ball down to the 7-yard line, brought out. And a nice tackle flying down there is Tanner Mendoza on special teams. Just coming down and making that, he's the versatility. You can see Dante Coxham with the return. Mendoza just getting off that block and a special teams tackle. How excited, his last home game. Can you see how excited, how important this one is to him, Zoe?
Absolutely. We talked about him in the pre-show. He's not afraid to get physical. He's in there as much as he can be. You're not just going to see him run the ball. You're going to see him on special teams. You're going to see him, if he can, get a pass from the quarterback. He's all in.
Kingsman out of the pistol, dumping it off to the left side. Nice move. It'll be tackled at the 25-yard line after a nice gain on first down. You can see Kalu trying to get a quick completion to Julio Angel out of the slot. He's done a good job for the Kingsmen, their leading wide receiver this season. We talked about Thomas, and who had a drop earlier. They go to their main guy in Angel with a pickup of 6 yards.
We really want to see him up his production, though. If he's going to be that #1 guy, you want to see him, you want to be saying his name a lot more.
Lasher, right side, looking for a double move. Well covered. You can see Cooper Ehlers just running with him. There's no way that back judge was going to throw a flag. No separation on that route. Tried to beat him on the outside. Throw was honestly right on the money, but no separation from Tyler Shimamura.
No, and Cooper Ehlers, we talked about him against Whittier. He had those 2 interceptions. He's dangerous.
But right here on the defensive side, I'd expect, man, just don't give him any space right off the ball. And we'll see if the Panthers can decide to send pressure right now. 3rd and 4, Lasher. Martin to his left, takes the snap, looking. Right side, that ball is just going to be well overthrown again. Looked like miscommunication. Maybe Angel was going to go on a corner route on the right side, top of your screen, cutting towards the sideline. Instead, he stops, and a bit of frustration on that sideline from Angel going to the bench, and then Lasher trotting off with the Panthers, quickly getting the football right back.
So we have the privilege of being able to see this on these cameras filmed by our cameramen and women, but if you're in the stands, you might not get that close-up shot. So we would call that pass straight to no man's land.
So Howie, that one almost blocked and fumbled by Wyatt Harden. Lucky to jump back on top of it. Sort of like a tough play for a shortstop. We talk like when it's right on the lip in baseball, it can bounce in a weird way. We got a flag, so could be a penalty on that defensive side with the Panthers making contact with the punter. As we wait for further discussion.
Yeah, we've seen those fumbles from Wyatt Harden a couple of times this year. Obviously, he was able to recover it, but you really don't want to see that when you've just gotten the ball back.
So you see the three of them talking it over, and we will reach a verdict.
Personal foul. Kicking team blocked below the waist, number 42. The 15-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play.
So a big break from the Chapman side as they are going to get even better field position, and football will be placed in Kingsman territory at their 46-yard line.
At one point, if you're on this Kingsman team, if you're on the offense, defense, special teams, at what point do you have to rally together and just play football? Because when you're down this much this early, it's really easy to get in your head and to start overthinking things.
Well, the idea is to work yourself into a tight game, or you make it hard on the Panthers and being confident calling whatever the play they want. But right now, the entire playbook is completely open for offensive coordinator Casey Shine, and the run game is there if you want to give it to Mendoza to start pinning his ears back and running as he takes it up the middle, fighting for some extra yards, a gain of 3 on first, and staying on that point. Defensively, you want to stay aggressive. You always want to attack, but Chapman's depth at wide receiver, 3 legitimate guys that are potential number 1s on other rosters. I mean, where do you go? It's tough to really play physical, these guys at the line of scrimmage, as we're going to see Espinoza throw that one. John Crawl down the field into the end zone. Touchdown, Chapman. They go to the trickery, take a shot downfield, and crawls into the end zone. Panthers strike again, 34-6.
All-out feast for Espinoza, and he's eating wide receivers for dinner tonight.
And you can see the replay. Snap goes to Mendoza. Harden flips it back. Espinoza looking for John Crawl, kind of fake like he was going to block, and then it's sort of like acting in a way. He fakes the block and then continues on his route wide open, gets behind a defender as the extra point is good. And speaking to that, something that they practiced, we saw a variation of this very play senior night where they tried to get it to Wyatt Harden on a different type of route. This time, right down the field on the bottom of your screen, John Crawl with his second big touchdown of the evening. And we talked about potential records being set for these Panthers, and Espinoza right now with a 29-point lead this early in the second quarter. It's going to be close to see if we see some history tonight, Zoe.
Absolutely. We're talking about records. For a transfer quarterback to beat that record on his first year, that would just be absolutely incredible.
And it speaks to the faith that the roster has, like Corona, Harden, Crawl, coming back, having faith in a transfer kid to come, and as well as he's performed this year with limitations in his lower body. It's been impressive. This ball will be dropped in. It will be recovered by Chapman. Tanner Mendoza. No, that's going to be, excuse me, not Mendoza covered. Chapman recovers the football there right by the sideline. They're going to get the football back. Special teams play.
First down, Chapman.
I think that was Justin Zimmer, number 2, flying down. Ball drops in, and the Panthers just recovered the football. They did that against Whittier and immediately back out on offense.
You can't ask for anything better. When they played Pomona Pitzer for homecoming, you saw some special team struggles. So obviously happy to see that it's a complete 180 of that tonight.
Oh, you cannot let that happen. You have to attack the football. You see it's dropping down, and you don't attack it. Wyatt Harden out on the edge. He's up crossing the 20 and inside the 15. Looks like he was knocked out at the 17-yard line. This Chapman offense firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, we talked about this would be an offensive-heavy game. We didn't expect it at this point in the game to be so one-sided. It's been all Chapman all night.
It is, and again, we're going to have I think an injured Kingsman down on the field and limping over to that side. That's a CO Rime. Hope I got the pronunciation correct on that one for Aliyu.
Regardless of pronunciation, you don't like seeing injured players on the field. We're happy that he's walking up on his own, but he's definitely limping off, surrounded by 2 trainers.
Yep, so with the ball in this spot already in the red zone, you've got this lead. This might be one of those games where you just pin it back and just try and score as many points as you can. Last time playing in front of your home crowd, how many points can we score against our rival? And honestly, we're both surprised up here. We're expecting a battle, and the Panthers really dominating here in the first half. Espinoza faking the handoff, dumps it off inside the 10-yard line, and the Panthers setting up a 1st and goal inside the 10.
Well, that's not a player that we've been talking about all night. We've been talking about our Crawl, our Harden, our Corona. You might already be tired of those names at home, but that depth going even further for this Chapman offense.
So here the Panthers again, anything you want. Top of your screen, one-on-one. Bottom of your screen, one-on-one. They will go to the top. That's Wyatt Harden, and good coverage on the outside, but a flag is thrown. Harden wanted that touchdown. You can see his frustration with himself.
Oh, he's very hard on himself. He is a
Pass
competitor.
interference,
He wants to
defense
win.
number 11. By rule, the ball will be placed on the 2-yard line. Automatic 1st down.
It's going to be on John Lopez on the defensive side for the Kingsmen, and competitiveness. The Panthers looking to score in college football. When it occurs in the end zone, they place it at the 2-yard line, not the 1, which you often see in the NFL. And 1st and goal at the 2. What's wrong with the handoff to Gio Orsino right here, Zoe?
I don't see anything wrong with the handoff to Gio Orsino. You're up this much, might as well kill a little bit more clock. You don't need to do anything too flashy to risk turning it over, and
I guess the blocking up front had an issue as the Kingsmen ready for it, but it's just so tough. I mean, talk about trying to answer your questions to the best of my ability in terms of what you can do. Already very difficult. You find yourself down 29 points, and you want to attack at the line of scrimmage, but the Panthers here, you've got a tall guy like Corona down. He's going to beat almost any SCIAC defensive back in a one-on-one. Crawl and Harden's explosiveness and their route running ability on the outside as well as from the slot. And then it's the run game and Espinoza using his legs.
yeah,
So 2nd and goal from the 3. Espinoza looking to the outside, got a completion. Wyatt Harden gets his touchdown. Simple, nice route from him. And the Panthers continue to pile it on. And you see the embrace between the 3 fifth-year seniors. Amazing shot from our camera to get that. That's one of the shots of the year, in my opinion. Those 3 guys, as you can see, the route right out of the slot, just outside. Bit of a pick play coming across on top, and a beautiful throw. Just one-on-one coverage, man-to-man, beating Keshawn Charles. Touchdown, Panthers.
The result of the play is a touchdown. Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 13. The 15-yard penalty will be added on to the kickoff.
that's just salt in the wounds right there if you're the Kingsmen.
The Panthers electing to use that on the kickoff, which we just saw the creativity they have on the special teams, as the extra point will be good. 42-6, Chapman Panthers. If they were trying to vie for like a college football playoff spot, it'd be like, oh my goodness, they're trying to impress a committee or something with the effort in the first half, and we're shocked up here, expecting a tight one and 36-point lead Let's talk about Cal Lutheran and what they can do. You don't have to go away from the run game. Obviously, you're going to have to score like 6 touchdowns to try and take a lead in this ball game, but you have to establish something, some sort of sense of physicality, because if you're going to try and complete 50 passes the rest of the way, that defense at some point, you're going to get a tip ball. The pass rush is going to just really tee off on that. You can't get one-sided. Have to still establish something, and on special teams, be very, it's an open-ended question. What do the Panthers do with a kickoff from midfield? So Tapia will drop this one down. That'll be a touchback. Sometimes you see in that situation they try and drop it, but in college football what they have that the pros don't is you can make a fair catch. Panthers just electing, as you can see, special teams unit, a guy like Davey Cooper, who's a 5th-year player, decided to come back. Another shot of head coach Bob Owens on the sideline. And at what point does this Cal Lutheran offense maybe start to click? As we see a change at quarterback with Cal Lutheran deciding to bring in a new guy. And that's going to be Hector Gonzalez.
That's an interesting move right there. I'm not sure I like that this early in the game.
Gonzalez out of the shotgun, under pressure, going downfield, and in coverage was Ryan Haith. That falls incomplete.
You had Ryan Haith right up on the guy, but you also had Julian Aldridge and Alex Tariquez a little bit farther in front of him. There was 1 Cal Lutheran and 3 Chapman Panthers in that vicinity.
Looking for Keyshawn Valentine, one-on-one coverage and trying to test Ryan Haith.
False start, offense number 5, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
These penalties really hurting the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen. This is eerily similar to the Chapman game against Pomona Pitzer. Obviously, very different result for the Chapman Panthers, but they just kept getting those penalties, and it really, aside from, you know, pushing them back, it hurts that momentum so much when you just have to stop and restart and go back.
This is Gonzalez dumping it out into the flat, but a nice tackle by outside linebacker Cade Jordan. Again, at the bottom of your screen, you can see the tight coverage. Chapman, you'd think, I mean, with a lead this big, they drop back and just play prevent defense the rest of the way, but the defensive attacking nature of defensive coordinator David Bishop, we'll see if they try something here on 3rd and 16, 4-man pressure. Gonzalez, and he's going to be sacked. That's Cade Jordan and Luke Portanev coming together and going to force another punt from the Kingsmen, and Cade Jordan's like, feed me. 2 great plays from that outside backer back-to-back.
Yeah, you saw it was more of a cover 4 formation with those safeties farther back, but they were still able to bring the pressure into the box and able to get that against the quarterback.
See a Cade Jordan supporter with a big fan. Brings me memories of senior night volleyball. There are some supporters with some large signs out for that game. Bit of a shocker to some people.
And who are those signs of again, for those who weren't there?
I can tell you, that's Wyatt Harden crossing the 40. He's up, passing the 30-yard line with a blocker on the outside. Harden up to the 20, spinning and thrown down with 9:19. It's when the Kingsmen looked like they couldn't get hurt even worse. Panthers just continue to throw that knife deeper into their hearts.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, kicking team number 7, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
Yeah, that's Dalen Wilson on that side of the Kingsmen. And you know, at some point, I mean, the frustration, you're trying to prepare yourself. And they played it great. They almost beat Pomona Pitzer. They were up in that game by 3 points in the 4th quarter. Mona going on a long drive, and Skylar Noble, the quarterback for the Sage Hens, putting it together. Sage Hens win by 4 and beat them. This is a Cal Lutheran team that has been competitive in a ton of their games. And we'll continue to mention the surprise, but earlier, if you're able to get a touchdown, you don't have the interception from Lasher or the missed kick, this could be a completely different football game as we see Corona motioning, going to the right side, Espinoza going end zone. Open, that's Joey Omar, touchdown Chapman.
Wide open, right down the middle.
At the tight end, just a little release, right side, fake the handoff. Some of the defense motioning over with Corona, shifts it. The play action we talked about the effectiveness of in the pregame show. And the Panthers close to dropping what some video game COD players would call a 50 bomb.
Interesting.
As that will be a good extra point with 9:14 closing in. Let's get a look at that, the motion. You'll see Corona coming across, right side, faking the handoff, rolling. Look how open the linebacker's just coming away from it, and miscommunication. No one is able to cover him. Panthers up by 43.
And we talked about this previous game between these two teams, 42-41. The Panthers already have 49 points with 9 minutes left in the second quarter.
Yeah, it's we'll come up with a word for the amount of explosive play. Maybe we'll go to the thesaurus at some point. And Cal Lutheran, you came out here to play, and you want to put on a show for your fans. This is their last game of the season. It's not like you go back in the film room and there's more to do. So how much fight do they have? Do they go out there and continue to compete, or are they just going to fold? It would be, I think, nice to see some competitiveness, and that's what I honestly expect from the Kingsmen, is to adjust and start playing better, as we're going to have a return taken out. Awesome, that 15-20, and a nice tackle made in open field, and another positive play for Chapman.
We talked about that earlier in this game, that decision of just touching back versus running forward. In that situation, I kind of like running forward, showing that you still have some fight left in you. You're not just going to take it. You're going to go for that risk. Obviously.
Yeah, with Coxum returning again, those duties. Martin, the every down back, number 5 at the senior spot. And then Coxum with a bit more speed. Only 155 pounds as a junior. He can fly. But the Kingsmen offensively back out. And this is Lasher into the game at quarterback. 2 wide receivers to his right, again in the pistol formation. They give it to Martin. And that is just throttled. 4 Panthers surging forward. There's Aldridge, Jordan in on that stop, as they lose 2 yards on first down. In these types of situations, there's a lot you can sort of look to out of the character of your players and who you recruited to play for you, and if they continue to fight throughout a game, even when it's looking not too good. You see 2 down defensive linemen look for Chapman to have some sort of disguised pressure look with either one of their outside linebackers coming, and then they're walking up an inside backer. This is really tough for quarterbacks. They bring 2 inside backers. Triquez coming forward, and then dangerous pass over the middle. Right by K. Jordan.
We've talked about him time and time again all night. Younger player coming back next year, sophomore, just like Alex Triquez. Aggressive player, not afraid of backing down, not afraid of making those routes downfield at all.
You can use this guy in pass coverage with his speed. People remember Dylan Keefe, a very athletic, strong outside backer. And again, Chapman showing a pressure front, but still only bringing 4 players. That ball will be completed, tackled by Triquez and Grieve over the middle of the field. That's going to be Klein, who has the only points for the Kingsmen tonight.
And that brings up another 4th down for the Kingsmen. Just hard to swallow if you're the Kingsmen this early, which you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be laying down that fight just quite yet. But you have to stay mentally sharp. You have to keep going.
That punt again, almost being completely blocked, as it will take a very Chapman bounce. You'd think one of these Kingsmen will touch it, Goes back 8 yards of field position for the Panthers. We've got 7:34 remaining in this game. And in this situation, anyone at home is thinking about the Panthers bringing in other people. This is senior night. We got the seniors out. They want to impress their family, friends, supporters who came out, and I would expect that these players have a long night and the points will continue to come as we see a cool shot of Chapman Panther cheerleaders.
Yeah, they're out here all night, and you know it's chilly up here, up in the booth. We're both wearing jackets. We got on our long pants. Those Chapman cheerleaders, they're out there in the cold. Major props to them.
They are moving a little bit more than us, though.
That is true.
As the handoff goes to Mendoza, crossing the 40. And he'll be tackled inside the 35. Some physicality in the Panthers picking up yards in any way they want to.
I'm sure we've talked about these seniors wanting to put on a show. We've seen those 3 wide receivers already getting a touchdown. I bet Mendoza wants to get in on that action for sure.
Well, you'd imagine he had a tough fumble against the Stags last year in the homecoming and senior night. You'd imagine he wants to make amends for the team as that handoff, and Harden wide open on the outside. Make a man miss, and again the Panthers knock on the door of the end zone. See some sportsmanship as Harden will help that defensive back, John Lopez, to his feet.
Always good to see that out on the field.
Don't expect it out of Harden, though. They have the nickname for Wyatt. He's called the Outlaw because of his physicality, and like an outlaw, don't even have to describe it. He does bad things at defensive backs. Not exactly a nice guy.
Always
to
got
other
his
teams.
guns drawn.
He does, and Isaiah Woods takes the carry to the right side. Nothing there, and you can see Brandon Fleiss, 79, who's filled in nicely this year. Right guard Gavin Scott shot at 86. Omar, a lot of returning players for this roster, and Vincent Jara back in the lineup, who last year had a season-ending knee injury and another injury this season, which he remained out for a couple of games. 2nd and 12 from the 22. Espinoza looking for Corona. He's got a step, diving for it, and the hair overthrown the end zone.
But again, if that wasn't overthrown, could have been another touchdown for Corona.
Yeah, so Espinoza putting that one on a line, and just need a tiny bit more air on that one to be able to have it drop into Corona's hands. And a 3rd and 12, still in field goal range, as well as Ken Byrle has kicked. This would be a 40-yard field goal, but it looks like the Panthers are going to try and
Chapman has called their
take a
first time out of
second
the
and
half.
think this one over. The 49-6 lead. You'd imagine that huddle is probably a lot nicer than maybe that Cal Lutheran huddle where you have a defense that's given up points on every drive.
Absolutely. And you mentioned Ken Byrle. They're in field goal range if they're not able to convert on this 3rd down. Ken Byrle, by the way, has had a historic season. He is the all-time leading scorer for kickers for Chapman. The record, previously 162 points, was set all the way back in 1996 by Bill Hamlin when the Chapman football program was reestablished after being on hiatus in 62, excuse me. Ken Byrle, before this game, had 188 points. Now with those 7 extra point kicks, he's up to 195, so just historic season for Ken Byrle.
See the shot of the crowd. A lot of people out for this one tonight. And the press box full. You can hear Stephen Oveda's thundering voice on public address throughout this season. He's been doing a nice job as Espinoza setting up the screen, but a nice tackle coming from behind and chasing on that play defensively. And Pete Mitchell, the senior, in his last game for the Kingsmen, the nice tackle. This will be a 4th down and a field goal for Byrle.
The seniors really just getting their moments to shine, all of them. Ken Byrle, he's had all those extra point kicks, but if he can make this field goal, that's just a little extra sweet.
Gallegos is good. The hold is good, and the kick from Byrle from 36 yards is through the uprights, and Boom goes the dynamite. A 50 bomb for the Chapman Panthers. I'm sure an owl in the control room, what do people call that last name? Devin Hoot, a guy that likes statistics and those kinds of games, is very excited to see that amount of points scored. And FPS games, people talk about the emergence of video games and importance, and he does our graphics too. And big thanks to him this year for setting it up, making us look super professional. Obviously, our producer for this game, Callista Kirk, her last time producing for Chapman. I'm sure she's probably going to be sitting down.
We still have basketball. Hold on, we gotta pump these fans up. We still got so many more CSBN broadcasts to come. This may be our last football game, but we're not done for the year, not by a long shot.
Absolutely, and Byral puts that field goal. He's had a terrific season, and this will be Tapia again. They have the dual threat kickers with Tapia dropping this one down into the end zone, touchback, and Cal Lutheran again, the chances of victory slowly starting to dwindle in the second quarter. Not going to go ahead and call anything, of course, with 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter, but they're going to need to do a lot. And I think that starts with just some points and a nice drive with 5 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Just something that can get you more positive, get some energy moving forward into the second half.
Exactly. If you're Cal Lutheran, you want a score, not just for the points on the scoreboard, but for yourself, for that moral victory.
Well, this is Lasher out of the shotgun, dropping it down to Klein. Ball comes out, but he was down by contact, takes it up to the 31-yard line. As we're under 5 minutes. Zoe, what's something you've seen, you've picked up on in this first half?
Something I've picked up on this first half, Josh, is just how versatile this Chapman offense and defense really is. The defense, I don't want to say we didn't have complete faith in them, but we had our criticisms of them, and they've really been showing us just how well-wired they are. We talk about football and sports as a well-oiled machine. Really want to see that on all cylinders. We've been making some analogies, talking about explosions, dynamite. I think the word we want to use here for this Chapman team has just been nuclear.
Okay, nuclear, it's a big word. And I can't figure out anything else to describe it, I guess, as that pass was completed to Julio Angel out of the slot, and the tackle made by 45, Tariquez will have the ball. Little ball substitution, getting a different football out on the field for this Kingsman offense. And again, Chapman staying in that 2 down linemen front and those outside backers remaining up at those positions. You see Jordan and his speed off the edge, and that's tough as a tackle because you're used to him off the outside, opens up, and as well as stunts where the defensive line can shift. Opens things up over the middle as a handoff. Go to Martin, and that's played well by Tyler Hardigan.
If you're Cal Lutheran and you're passing it to your lead running back, you want to see him being able to find those routes. We've talked about him. He's an impactful player, 80 yards usually per game. We haven't seen that production from him today.
Second and long for the Kingsmen at the 40-yard line. Here's Lasher, shotgun, 2 wide receivers to his left. Sitting back, 5-step drop. Over the middle of the field, he's trying to get it to his wide receiver, Shimamura, but again, the lack of, rhythm as an offense, again, they're demonstrated.
Yeah, we talked about rhythm a little bit earlier before this broadcast. When you think of rhythm, you might not always think of football, you might think of music. And when you're talking about music, there's lots of different aspects. It's very mathematical. There's lots of different numbers. 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, all common timings. We might see that in football with their defenses. Cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. You have to be able to know those scores. You have to be able to adapt to them, and you have to be able to adjust.
Yeah, with Chapman just sitting back, you see an adjustment on the offensive side with Cal Lutheran taking advantage over the middle of the field at the safety, giving up space with the Panthers dropping into a really soft look on 3rd and 12. It's giving that completion a much higher probability to Shimamura on the outside, top of your screen over the middle, and the Kingsmen have something going here.
That was a much needed first down for the Kingsmen.
It is, and Lasher, 1st and 10 at the 45. Snap to Martin, left side. He's got a nice hole, and he'll be brought down by Bustos, the transfer out of Whittier. Talked to him in the offseason and his excitement to play for a program like the Panthers. He'd had the unfortunate experience of getting blown out by this Panther team last year, decides to transfer out, and he's been successful. Didn't expect to play this much, but when you saw injuries to Simon Hall with the torn labrum, Blake Seamson out for the year before it started retiring, he's been able to fill in, as well as Donato. Nice moves over the middle of the field. That's Angel, and he's close to a first down after a gain of 9 yards in under 2 minutes. The Kingsmen to pull closer as they're going tempo. Lasher hands it off to Martin, left side. Another nice run and a first down, taking it up to the 21-yard line.
Yeah, when you're up this much, there is always that risk of you getting a little bit comfortable, and you never want to be comfortable this early. Obviously, when you're winding down the clock, it's 4th quarter, you're up this much, you might turn off the gas a little bit, but when it's this early, we've seen it before where when a team is down that much and they have the fight and the will to keep going, they might be able to just pull it out from just this deep guttural instinct of wanting to win.
Yeah, the Cal Lutheran trying to come in here, especially against a rival, as that's a nice throw over the middle of the field. Diving for the end zone, touchdown Kingsman. Julio Angel right out of the slot comes across, and he dives in. That's a score for the Kingsmen, and they trail 12-52 with the minute 16 left in this first half. See the replay. Now, right out of the slot, coming across the middle, Devin Cobb. Off in coverage, we talked about sort of what Chapman's doing, keeping it in front of them, and wide open over the middle, makes a guy miss, and he's diving forward. Good display of route running and then physicality, as this extra point is up and good. Some contact, the Kingsman player, and 13:52, but Chapman offense, 2 timeouts, over a minute remaining. How well they've played so far. Do you think Owens is going to take the foot off the gas? I don't think there's any chance. He's going to try and put some more points up on the board.
If it were up to these seniors, they'd get a touchdown with a minute left.
Oh, I think the seniors would, if they could be the coaches of this game, keep themselves in the rest of the way. Again, that remains to be seen, but earlier in this, we had a huge swing of momentum after a touchdown. Panthers taking a 28-6 lead. And not an onside kick, but they drop it in. Coach Williams, their special teams coordinator and running backs coach, designing that, drops in. Again, he has the history with Northwestern as well as Humboldt. And that's the second time the Panthers have recovered a kick this year on the kicking team. In that exact same situation, they did that against Whittier. So at the minute 16 remaining,
and Whittier was another example of a blowout win by the Panthers.
Burgos drops it down. Inside the 10, Ursino looking for a lane. He'll be tackled at the 23.
You hear this Cal Lutheran crowd, they still have life to them. If you're listening to this crowd and you ask them how much is your team down by, the way they're cheering, you expect them to say 7-3. Not 39.
Yeah, it seems like a one-score game as you see shot of the gold and purple crowd. Personally, I know the rivalry pretty well between the Chapman tennis team and the Cal Lutheran tennis team. Have a pretty bitter rivalry, and things have come close to getting physical between those sides, I have to do say so, but not yet to happen. Hopefully that'll stay the same as that season kicks off. That is something that possibly could be covered. CSBN is Espinoza taking a shot. Wyatt Harden just beating that zone. And he's up to the 44, out of bounds, and the clock will stop. So right away, Harden with the grab, and he stays in. So the Panthers getting vertical and attacking. They want more points.
Oh, absolutely. Wyatt Harden, it took a lot just to bring him down just then. If he could have run to the end zone with those two guys on him, he would have.
Harden looking to set records. He needs about 100 more yards for the all-time receiving, as that's a nice throw. Good contact over the middle, but Joey Omar, it's a 6-yard gain. Would have thought the Panthers would have called timeout, as about 15 seconds will run off the clock, and in this system, no communication to the helmet. They have to look at the sideline as we're nearing 30 seconds. The fake handoff, whipping on the sidearm throw, but I would expect you'd get a timeout from the sideline after Corona has the grab. The clock continues to wind as we're at 25 seconds. Panthers, Espinoza, shotgun, rolling to the right. He's just going to take off, be brought out shy of the 40. And that situation, the Panthers now with only 14 seconds to work with.
I'm surprised, like you said, that they didn't call a timeout on one of those earlier plays. This clock keeps winding down, only 14 seconds. We know Espinoza has a very wide range, and he's the first guy to tell you that he could probably throw this ball down the entire length of the football field. But you do want to have a little bit of time to do that. The Kingsmen really can't do much, even if they get the ball with 15, 20 seconds left on the clock.
Omar motions to the right side. Espinoza, shotgun, dumping it off to Reyes, and a nice tackle. He had to come up and play that defensively.
Little mix-up on the PA system. That was reception by Marcos Reyes. You know, we've said Wyatt Harding's name so much this game that you see a single number, you see a reception, you might just expect it's Harden, but that one was running back Marcos Reyes, and that's going to end off the half.
So the Panthers and Owens with a timeout in his back pocket, not deciding to take a shot, maybe at the end zone, something like that. They'll take a 52-13 lead into the half, and when the Panthers lead at the half all time, they are 120-18, Zoe.
Yeah, we've seen that all season. They've come out on a win, at least here at home, when they've been up at the half, and when they've been down at the half, like they were against the Pomona Pitzer Sage Hens, wasn't the result that they hoped to garner.
All right, we'll just keep the stats coming. So they score 40+, 61-3 also. So a lot of work to be done for the Kingsmen moving forward in this second half, as you see a beautiful shot of Ernie Chapman Stadium from our crowd. Revampedness of what's happening around here. That whole center you see over there at Keck wasn't there even just a decade ago. And Coach Owens has talked about how when he came to this program, there's a ton of buildings around campus that weren't even around. And now this school has really adjusted and put a lot into the facilities, and they love their football.
It is true. And us being able to broadcast it. This comes out of the control room at Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, which that building was only built in 2006, which was just 16 years ago. So much has changed around campus. We've really grown into a school. You see Dodge College up there in the top 5 rankings. You see Chapman football. They're on track to have their 12th winning season under Coach Bob Owens.
So on the field will be the Chapman cheer squad. So send our attention down there to support our fellow Lady Panthers.
Yeah. Make it hot. Come on. Fans, give it up for your 2022 Chapman University Cheer Squad.
Yeah, absolutely riveting stuff from our cheer squad. They're going to be honored here just in a second. It makes me kind of cringe sometimes with some of those type formations and stuff that they're doing up here. I'm not that flexible, but terrific job by them. Always excited to see them perform at halftime.
Oh yes, I was actually fortunate enough to have class with a senior last year. Their dancing is absolutely incredible. Let's go down to the field and see them be honored tonight.
He's joined by Mom and Dad, Kathy and Robert. Our second senior is Emilia Catalanes. She's joined by her mom, Olivia. Our third senior, Kendallin Hudson. She's joined by Mom Brenda, Dad Jason, and her sister Kristen. Our next two seniors are Rhea and Sage Jackson. Joined by their parents, Amy and Peter. Our sixth senior is Rachel Van. She's joined by her friends Lauren Wong and Lauren Blunt. And our final senior is Taylor Takatani. She's joined by friends Sam, Miriam, and JJ. Fans, please give me one more round of applause for our Chapman University cheerleading seniors.
Cool to see our seniors of the cheer squad get congratulated on their time at Chapman and performing. The Jackson twins, who have done a great job for the program throughout their time here.
Yeah, cheer squad, just as important. Obviously, if you're on the cheer squad, even more important than the football broadcast. But when we're talking about football here and we're talking about this broadcast, we want to look at some of those highlights of this first half. Obviously, expecting quite a few, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how good our highlight team is, because there was a ton of them as we go. This one, John Crawl over the middle. Coverage was okay, but just running, and you can see him looking back and then hit at the end of that. And then this is just number 20, the sophomore Orsino, cooking a couple of moves. Thought he was going to be caught right here at the 50. And then he cuts it back. You can see Espinoza just charging downfield. Torn meniscus, what? As he's chugging along right next to his player, and Orsino scampers for a 73-yard score. The trickery. Espinoza goes to John Crawl again for the touchdown. Panthers piling it on. They were taking shots all over the place in that first half, and then the shot. This was the first touchdown of the night. They go right to Spencer Corona, one-on-one outside. And then we saw the interception. Isaac Holbrook very wisely coming forward, being smart, seeing that ball was overthrown. Triquez coming over the middle. And then a bit of physicality. Julian Aldridge making a tackle with a whiz in there to Spencer Corona.
Just seeing those passes even more. Spencer Corona again. That one wasn't quite a touchdown, but we know the result of that play in the end.
See Marcos Reyes getting in for a touchdown, extending with that left arm. Then this was the touchdown for the Kingsmen as they went to Klein. Very similar play on the trickery. where they're able to score. And then Espinoza with that last one, being able to come up with another touchdown. So a lot of highlights throughout this game, Zoe.
Absolutely, but we can't forget that we have our own little fun fact here. Can't forget about the double Josh situation here. We're having Josh Feinhersh down at the field. Let's toss it down to him.
All right, I am here live at Wilson Field. It is halftime. Chapman up 52-13. The atmosphere on the sideline is crazy. Players trash talking, especially the kicker after missing the first field goal wide right. I've been told by fans to go call New York because they disagree with some calls, New York being the NFL replay center. And there's been many wild plays to keep the energy up. And Espinoza taking the hit late in the first quarter, coming right back in, leading the team on another touchdown drive, just shows his toughness. There's been many great moments in this first half. Back to you guys, Josh and Zoe at the desk, and hopefully Chapman keeps up this great performance.
Great stuff from the other Josh on this broadcast, and getting that information, you could hear it right from him. Espinoza comes back in after that hit he took, and we'll send it off to a package that our fellow CSBN man, Dan does. What was he doing this week?
We'll see that, and we'll see you after the half.
I'm Dan Batson, here again with Dan Does tonight, joined by the wonderful Jackson Wells. Jackson, how are we feeling tonight?
I'm good, tired, but good. We just had a fun practice as usual, but we got to get some costumes on today, which was fun, and just get the Halloween spirit going.
Yeah, it's so fun to see. We got peanut butter and jelly. We saw Batman a little bit earlier.
Batman, I think that was a fan favorite, so put up a couple goals with him.
And Jackson, what's your position in this team? You know, you're a senior, but What do you do here?
Sort of, I facilitate the offense, so I move around from attack to midfield. I'll play O-mid, but basically kind of just get looks for other teammates and facilitate the offense.
Now we are on Wilson Field. I'm joined with Eli, Jackson, myself, Jackson, and Josh. We got sticks in our hands. Jackson, what are we gonna do tonight?
All right, let's first start off with cradling. I feel like that's pretty essential. So here's the ball. And basically this is the power cradle, so you're here, both hands. And you're just gonna use the right wrist mostly and kind of whatever feels comfortable, just up and down. That's kind of just to keep the ball from coming out when you're going up against a defender.
Right here. So we just finished up all our drills, got my first goal I've ever had, but we've reached the point of Dan Does where the boys get to give me my first grade. Let's start over here. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna have to go with an A-. You know, he brought the energy, brought the fire. Gotta love it.
Okay. That's fair. Let's see. I'll give you a B.
I'll take a B. I'll take a B. Let's see what's happening over here with Batman.
Yeah, man, I'll give you a B because that last shot, that was pretty nice. The placement there was pretty solid, so I'll have to give you a B for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be a little harsh. I'm going to go with the B-.
That's passing. That's passing.
It's passing. It's passing. It's passing with flying colors, if you ask me. Yeah. An A-, a couple Bs, but as you know, we average a B here on Dan Does. Thank you so much for joining us. Chapman Men's Lacrosse. Catch them in the spring season. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week with our next episode of Dan Does. Peace.
on the Welcome back to Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network. A bunch of points from the Panthers. It's senior night, and they could not ask for a much better performance. So, Zoe, any thoughts from that first half?
Yeah, many thoughts. Zoe Franklin and Josh Blinder, we've been up here calling this game from the half, and we've been saying so many names over and over again on the Chapman offense, those senior wide receivers, those younger players stepping up, making their mark on the team, showing that they're not going to go away. Just remarkable
Yeah, getting
football.
it done, really, and got a whole another half of football, so let's send it back down there for the kickoff. This is Tapia ending out, and the Panthers with a 52-13 lead. We'll see how much those starters continue to play in this second half with a dominating performance thus far.
Yeah, if you ask those seniors how long they'd like to be out there, they would say all game, but they still have one more game on the season. It's an away game at Laverne, and obviously Coach Owens and the entire coaching staff want their team healthy for that.
They do, and every single starter out there for the Panthers. In a rivalry game, sometimes it's a little bit different. And again, in Division III football, a lot of these games are against your rivals. You have 6 conference matchups, but tonight, this is like some sort of statement you want to put to the rest of the SCIAC. Maybe we won't make the playoffs, but we could have been a threat throughout this conference if we did play a little bit better earlier in the season and we're maybe a bit healthier. As Lasher take the first snap of the second half, hand it off up the middle. That's Martin with Cade Jordan on his back for a gain of 4 yards on first down.
Yeah, you were talking about statements, and I think the statement that the Panthers are saying here is, you guys got lucky. You didn't have to face us at our full strength.
Yeah, that first one was a tight ball game right down to the wire. A bit of rain at the end of it. Just a beautiful football atmosphere. Over 3,000 strong supporting. I was there in just a T-shirt, freezing, and it was a fun game to watch. Tonight, fun as well. Even on the Cal Lutheran side, we've seen some creativity as Lasher taking a shot downfield, and Ryan Haith is just beaten in coverage. You can see him slamming his fist onto the turf as Julio Angel, beautiful throw from Lasher, putting it on his wide receiver.
Absolutely. That's those plays that we've been looking forward to all night. That's what we expected coming into this game. We expected powerful offense going against powerful offense, just hit after hit after hit.
So this will be Lasher again with Martin to the left side, 2 wide receivers to his left also as he takes a shot again, this time well covered by Haith, and he had 2 hands on that football. He could have picked that off.
Absolutely. He dropped it, and not quite as much of a reaction, but I think he's going to be thinking that one over a couple of times. But it'll ease the pain if he can get an interception, which I know he's fiending for right now.
It would, and this is we talk about some of the better defensive players. I would think he might be up for all conference when the season is all said and done with his play. Physicality, speed, athleticism, coming down, tackling is everything you want out of a defensive back. Is a nice hole through the middle. And that's Cade Jordan and Colin Keefe coming together to tackle Martin. And a first down for the Kingsmen.
Very different look than we were seeing last half really for these Kingsmen. They've gotten out a lot faster, getting down the field a lot quicker, which is what they really have been needing to do all game.
I would like to see the Kingsmen snap it a little bit quicker. In some of these situations, they've come up to the line, and 95% of the time they're faking the snap, and catch them off guard is another nice run up the middle. Isaiah Martin will pick up 6 yards.
And again, we mentioned it earlier, that's what we're expecting from him, that #1 running back on that team. He was stopped quite a bit early, wasn't getting the football very much. Now he's finding his routes, being able to evade that defense.
He is. He had only 31 rushing yards in the first half. He looks to be a bit more utilized here in the second, with the Panthers going with 3 down defensive linemen, 2 outside backers, sending pressure. Tariqua is on the outside, and a nice move trying to get 2 defenders to miss, but they'll wrap up at the end of that. Cade Jordan in on the tackle.
That one, number 15, he almost got away. You could kind of see Cade Jordan extending his arms, but he managed to make that tackle, which he was happy about.
Yeah, Matsky just almost just a hair away from breaking that one, maybe going into the end zone. Still a good field position, 1st and 10 at the 18-yard line. The Kingsmen moving first drive of the second half. It would have been an illegal formation, but Baumgart's skin at wide receiver just backed off. They're going to motion Angel to the right side of the formation. Snap it one-on-one on the outside. Beautiful back shoulder throw. Getting that one to Matsky and a first down and a 1st and goal at the 6-yard line, Zoe.
That is what we've been wanting to see all night. And if you're the Chapman defense, obviously you're not in a dire situation right now. You're not up by 2 scores. You're up by quite a plethora of points. But you don't want to get lackadaisical in these formations and letting them get that momentum, because if they can get this score in the next minute, then that's a little bit of life in them.
It is, and surprised to see this front from Chapman only going with 2 bigger defensive linemen. There's an opportunity for the Kingsmen to run it, but they're going to the outside, and that's going to be a touchdown going to the air. That will be wide receiver Tyler Shimamura. Beautiful throw, just working on the outside. Looked like that corner had inside leverage, trying to work it and force the throw towards the sideline, but Lasher on time with Shimamura and the Kingsmen right down the field, and that's another touchdown drive as they'll look to make this a 32-point game with the extra point.
Yeah, if you're the Chapman Panthers, how do you respond to that? How do you make sure that the Kingsmen know, all right, you got to score, but you're still on our home turf?
Yeah, so this kick will be no good again. The second missed extra point of the game from Burgos. To answer your question, Zoe, a drive. Now, and not just a big, you can have that shot down the field, but just showing that physicality, really, and imposing your will. Offensive coordinators love to see as well. Let's take a look at that replay. Nice throw from Lasher. On time, getting it to the outside, getting it around the hand of Jordan. And wide receiver, you can see Ryan Haith upset with himself. 3 times targeted on that drive. And again, just looking at the crowd and them coming out, it's been so fun to call these games for football throughout the season. And Zoe Franklin, glad to have the opportunity to call this one with you. I know that Redlands game, you obviously didn't have the health to do so, but we've got a lot of points tonight.
No, I would have come out there even feeling a little under the weather. Unfortunately, I couldn't speak, and that's the one thing you do need as a commentator, which is your voice. And these fans over on the Cal Lutheran side still voicing their support. Some of them have signs. They're not thinking that it's over yet.
Ursino fields it at the 11-yard line, crossing the 20, looking for a block. He'll be brought down at the 29-yard line after good return. And a scuffle at the end of that. And some Kingsmen just coming up and pushing some Panthers, and frustration. At the end of it, you can hear some of the members of the crowd being a bit surprised to see that sense of violence on the field.
It can be understandable. There's a lot of emotions, very passionate about this game, but you gotta keep your composure in those situations. The offense or the defense, those other players will try and rile you up, and if you react to it, then that's on you.
It is, as we have a delayed break in the action with 11:19 to go in the third quarter. It is the third quarter. The graphic that we have put together is based off the scoreboard here at the stadium, Ernie Chapman Stadium.
Conduct, kicking team number 27, 15-yard penalty, first down.
So the Panthers will get the ball again with good field position. This will be brought out to the 45 after that. And just saying, then the scoreboard, once that is updated towards the third quarter, our graphic will show the third, but it is in the third quarter. The Panthers leading 52-19. And the offense heading back out, and that's all their starters.
Yeah, and they're in excellent field position again due to that penalty. The Kingsmen, we've seen a couple of those tonight, really hurting them, getting those yards back. Not saying it would have completely changed the score, but it would have given them more to cover.
Espinoza fakes a snap. He's got Corona. That's going to be overthrown had a half step. Espinoza having to get rid of it. And double cover on the outside. This time, the Kingsmen, they don't want Corona to beat them or any of these three, but it's tough. And we were talking about how can Chapman make a response and not let the Kingsmen get confident. And it's a drive of some sort, but the Kingsmen, they break their own back by the personal foul at the end of it. Unnecessary and a 15-yard penalty. The Panthers already, if they punted, they could flip field position and make it harder on the next Kingsman possession, even if they don't move the football. As Mendoza has a nice hold to the left side, good vision, and he picks up 8 yards on second. That'll be a 3rd and short. And even here, if you don't pick this up, short down situation, you can go for it.
Absolutely. And we talked about these Kingsmen, you know, kind of shooting themselves in the foot, but I do like seeing them still making adjustments, you know, with Corona having 2 men out on him.
That's going to be offside. Oh, Espinoza hurling it deep down the field, off helmet, and trying to touch it off the carom as his helmet was hardened. That's going to be an automatic first down for the Panthers, it looks like.
Harden playing a little bit of whack-a-mole with the football this evening.
It is, and don't often see that, but that's 100% legal. If people remember the immaculate reception there with
Offside.
The Steelers.
Defense number 54 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
In 70s, but a first down in a second time in not that long of a time period with the Kingsmen hurting themselves, and the Panthers 1st and 10 at the 41. You see Cartwright and Mendoza in the backfield with Espinoza. Espinoza will give it to Cartwright up the middle, carrying a defender with him. And he's got a gain of 8 yards on first.
And if you're Chapman, you like that. You usually see these plays a little bit later in the 4th quarter if you're the team leading. But as Chapman is up by so much right now, you don't mind them seeing running the football, running that clock down, even though we're just at the 10-minute mark in this 3rd quarter, even though, as you said, it says 2nd quarter on our graphic. But they have to keep going.
Espinoza with 5 touchdown passes in that first half, looking to add another, and that looks like a fumble, but they're going to call it incomplete. You can see a replay. He may have, I don't think he had complete control of the possession of the ball in terms of taking that next step. So you see Espinoza takes the snap, whipping it out there, and yeah, that looks like a good call on it being incomplete. He had to hang on into it maybe just for another half second as we have a 3rd and 2. Short yardage situation. Again, off coverage, bottom of your screen. They'll give it to Cartwright. He's easily got the first down. Tackle to the 27-yard line. That moves the sticks. And was talking about the run game. Panthers going to it because not only do you make it more about one-on-ones in the zone blocking and physicality, but it burns the clock. When you're running the football, that's 40 seconds every single play that burn.
Absolutely, and if you're the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen, that slow burn is a slow burn of death.
Espinoza going right side, wide open. Harden trying to break a tackle.
And as we just talked about running and that slow burn, Espinoza completely contradicts us and throws it to Wyatt Harden. But if it's working, then it works.
1st and goal at the 5. And this is where this offense is really so dangerous with, the 2-back set. You can bring Cartwright forward to lead block. Handoff will go to Cartwright. He runs into his own man, and he'll gain maybe a yard on first down. And in these situations, talk about the run game, but Panthers like just those quick outs and also one-on-one situations. You got a tall guy like Spencer Corona, one-on-one ball on the outside. It's pretty tough to bring an entire safety to double cover a player in that situation. And right now, bottom of your screen, Wyatt Harden, one-on-one. It's a very tough matchup for that cornerback. And John Lopez. Espinoza doesn't worry about any of that. He's just going to hand it off up the middle. Jack Cartwright, they call him Cartwheel. He does a backflip. Goes in for the score. 58-19. Panthers does a backflip to show off This crowd, this guy does like WWE wrestling type stuff when they play some John Cena music in the crowd. Easy. That might be the easiest touchdown of his career. Wow.
That was actually
perfect form.
The result of the play is a touchdown.
If Chapman
After
had a
the play,
gymnastics team, I think he should join it.
Offense number 36, his first of the game. Cal Lutheran will take that 15-yard penalty on the kickoff.
So they do throw a flag for that display of cartwheeling ability, backflipping, but you know the form, the technique was there, but the refs didn't like that display, and the extra point is good. So the Panthers 59-19, 40-point lead after a touchdown drive. But the penalty will be enforced on the kickoff, so they'll kick from the 20, and that gives an opportunity for the Kingsmen to have good field position.
Yeah, I guess the refs wanted a front flip instead of a back flip. You just never know.
Yes, it definitely is possible. That could have been the decision, but we've talked throughout this of Espinoza and his ability throwing the ball, but that's Chapman's third rushing touchdown of the game. Their eighth. 8 touchdowns today, Zoe. And it doesn't matter how many football games you watch, it's usually rare to see that amount of points.
Especially with so much time left on the clock. Still 8 minutes left in this third quarter. We still have this quarter and another one to go in this game.
Oh, don't change that link, folks. Stay with us here on Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network. If you want more points, we may not have the same amount of drama effect that was promised, but we certainly have the appeal of points to be scored throughout this. And the Kingsmen, with their return men at the 15, could break a big return.
Absolutely, and just incredible displays of athleticism.
Tapia will kick, fielded at the 20 by Coxum. Crossing midfield, he's out past the 40, 30. This one might be coming back up to the 25-yard line. We've seen a holder, an illegal block in the back. In the replay of that kick return, it was pretty obvious that we had a Chapman gunner that didn't have a completely fair opportunity to tackle Coxum.
No, and if you're the Kingsmen, that is just one of many examples of those penalties just biting you.
Yeah,
During the return, holding, return team number 41, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And you called it.
So instead of having the ball at Chapman's 20, they're going to have it just back their own 30-yard line, only a change in 5 yards. You talk about biting, it's like the fall season, winter is mosquito time. You start getting those bites, you gotta wear the repellent, and they've been hurting themselves, biting themselves, opportunities that they can move the ball down the field, and just fundamentals have not been there tonight, lack of discipline.
And suddenly that penalty by Chapman doesn't really make all that much difference.
Lasher fakes the handoff, rolling left side, and he definitely had Klein open the left side, and he just inaccurately tosses it past his target.
Yeah, his target was way shorter and just almost looked like he was running in a circle around himself, not quite sure where the ball was supposed to go.
Maybe a little dizzy after the handoff. I mean, I don't think so. That's pretty common play, just to be faking it to your right and then falling back the other way, but you got to be accurate and hit the easy ones. Lasher fumbling the snap, mishandled, and on a broken play only picks up a yard. If he gets it out to Martin, he had space, a blocker downfield, and Klein might have had some space to make a guy miss, and big play opportunity turns into a 1-yard play, and right away a 3rd and long coming.
And you hear some crowd heckling there. These Chapman fans, even though they're up by so much, you clearly can see how much they don't like these Cal Lutheran Kingsmen.
The lack of love for each other evident as we get pressure hit low and we get contact here as Lasher really took a shot. on that play, and we have another down. That's a lineman, but everybody's up on their feet. You can see Lasher limping, trying to walk it off. He took a shot in the backfield and low. That could have been roughing the passer call, and that was one of the first things that was preached in the offseason, was not hitting the quarterback low, and you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, and he's going out. That clearly shook him up.
So this is Gonzalez in at quarterback. He was in earlier in the second quarter. Taking the snap, handing it off to Martin. And he'll be rode down up front. You can see Vinny Cafaro in on the tackle for the Panthers, as well as Alfonso Barmore Jr. as we're past the halfway point in the third quarter. Gonzalez stays in as the Kingsmen will do what they do just about every time, is fake the snap, then look towards the sideline and get the play call. Out of the pistol, here's Gonzalez. He's got time rolling outside of the pocket, and he'll be dragged down. Alex Chiriquez, a nice play.
That was great by Alex Chiriquez. If you were just looking forward, it looked like Gonzalez just had a straight route, but Chiriquez didn't let him have it at all. And we see another player down on the field right now.
The trainers coming in to give their help to an offensive lineman. That's Caleb Alalim. 292-pound freshman, big kid at right guard, and really haven't said his name that much tonight, which is a good thing if you're normally an offensive lineman. And I mean, we have talked about some of the penalties up front, but there are guys that are versatile at their feet in terms of moving and blocking, and he is able to get back on his feet.
Yeah, limping off a little slowly. We haven't really talked about it much this game, but that offensive line's so important. It's kind of like bad sound. You only notice bad sound when you hear it ringing in your ears. When it's all sounding nice and pretty, you don't notice it. That's kind of what this offensive line does.
In football, you have to always deal with injuries, and with the differences in obviously the pro game versus college, you always have new players shuffling in. A great player will play for about 4 years. You see that shot of Espinoza in the middle, those four wide receivers. On the far left side of your screen, you can see offensive line coach, as well as James Kroll, that sophomore, who's the future of the wide receiver room for the Panthers the next 2 years to come. With Espinoza returning as Lasher with Andrade, who had his head up. He might have had an interception. Instead, he's going low for the contact, and that falls incomplete. A fourth down. I'd imagine the Kingsmen will keep their offense and try and pick this up on fourth down. So fourth down, and they'll decide to just punt the football. A surprising decision. The clock stopped, and in Chapman territory.
Yeah, it's very surprising. They're slightly more down the field, which is good and bad, because if they don't make it, then Chapman gets it in pretty good field position. But they are so far behind, and just this late in the game.
Tanner Mendoza blocks the punt, and he is absolutely fired up. I got to see a replay of that, Zoe. Mendoza firing through there. He's made his impact known. Talk about a guy that wants to win a game at home on his senior night. Mendoza just run the football well. All he needs is a rushing touchdown to put this man over the edge. You can see him coming across the right side. Both hands so covered by the Kingsmen, but no matter. No field position, and when it comes down to it, the Kingsmen lose 4 yards on that punt attempt. Instead of going for it, an opportunity, they give the ball to the Panthers on plus territory. Ball on the Kingsmen 49, as we will see a transfer, a new quarterback in the game with the eyes out. Harrison Gross with the grab on the bottom of your screen, picking up the grab, and Chapman sideline is fired up. This is a kid that has worked incredibly hard to be out playing tonight. A torn ACL, a broken collarbone he's had a battle through. He's got his parents out here from Colorado. His dad does like cancer research. He's saving lives in terms of advancing in the science. And Harrison Gross with the grab. This crowd showing their love and support for him. A great moment on his senior night to get a reception and positive yards, 8 on that play. Pacheco hands it off to the left side. And no gain. So this is freshman Tyler Pacheco. We mentioned that Redlands game, who didn't have the best of outings. We'll say he threw an interception that went for a touchdown in that one, but here tonight, hands it off to, we'll see if he's able to pick that up.
Yeah. We talked about if they were going to keep their stars in. Obviously, seeing Ty Pacheco in, you have your answer there for quarterback Nathaniel Espinoza at least, which makes sense as he's not one of those senior players. It's not his last game. Ty Pacheco, we saw him last game against Redlands when they were up 17. He had a couple of good rushes, but he did throw that interception pass. That was his first passing yards as a Chapman Panther.
It was, and he's in. He's a very athletic kid. His ability to use his legs on the outside, imagine he's going to be handing off the ball a ton the rest of the way. 40-point lead, late stages of this third quarter. But the future, we talk about a freshman, remains to be seen how much time he'll get next year with Espinoza returning and how good that guy's played. If he throws 5 touchdown passes next week, he'll set a single season record mark for the Chapman Panthers in terms of touchdowns on a season, and he's pretty close to setting the record for yards. Needs about 200 more next week at Laverne.
Which is just incredible, being his first year on a new team, the amount of trust the Chapman coaching staff has had in him, and just how well he's connected with this team. We've been talking about it all night.
You can see the fake handoff. So they give it up the middle to Thomas Johnson on the carry, younger player. And you're waiting for that substitution when some other guys would come in. But on the offensive line, you can see Braden Schloff, who's been in this program a long time, 51. But they're keeping Vincent Jara, their left tackle, and Donovan Porter on the field. And at the bottom of your screen again, Harrison Gross and Cal Lutheran keeping with a majority of their main starting defenders.
I can't imagine that their defenders are going to be out anytime soon, those starting defenders. It's their last game. They have nothing more after this.
Chaco, right side. Under pressure, he's going to take off and run. See those wheels staying up, and he'll be tackled to the 23. And mentioned Justin Zimmer, who's tough in this wide receiver room. They've got 20 guys and coached by Michael Owens, which is Bob Owens, the head coach, younger brother. And a tough transition trying to coach and be in a new spot after he was a quarterback, and having to adjust and be in a different position to coach. But it helps when you have 3 fifth-year players that are spectacular athletes and good leaders, 2 of them captains in Corona and Hardin. And next year, though, it'll be big on the coaching to see how well he's able to get these guys. As the handoff to Fuentes, gets it to the 14-yard line. And staying on that note, I think that in terms of the future for this Panther team, as long as Espinoza is at quarterback next year and he can stay healthy, the future is bright, and this wide receiver room is still very talented.
Absolutely. Those wide receivers and those running backs that you mentioned, Tanner Mendoza, 5th year. This is his last year in the program. That depth that we've talked about, this team is going to be just fine.
Yeah, it's still, and Gio Orsino's coming back, and you also see Isaiah Woods potentially coming back with Marcos Reyes and a number of their main backs thinking about deciding to return to this team and this program. As that handoff will go up the middle, no gain, so it'll be a 3rd and 1, as we'll likely see the last play of the third quarter.
Brought down to 15. Third down.
So as we approach the 30-second mark, see that shot of the crowd and some of the ivy and the shrubs behind it, which is right on the side of the dorms and by by the cars crossing by on the street of Walnut. I know Dan Batson, who used to do games with throughout the season, loves that net that protects people from getting hit by balls throughout the season in terms of the amount of lives saved, the amount of concussions and broken windshields, as that will wrap up the third quarter. We're getting set for fourth quarter action. They'll be flipping sides, and the Panthers with a long drive here and chewing a lot of time off the clock.
Absolutely. Just this Panther offense, we saw a spark of life from those Kingsmen at the very start of this drive, at this quarter, but they kind of lost that spark a little bit, which isn't what you hope to see. You hope to see them kind of fighting back a little bit more. It's hard when you have that morale, but you want a little bit more.
It is, and as we approach this last quarter of football for Chapman and playing at home this season, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank our fans that have stuck with us throughout this broadcast, but throughout the year, we appreciate it, and honestly, it helps everybody at CSBN want to do a better job. And the socials, follow CSBN Live, go follow the Twitter, the YouTube page, go check all of that out. And the amount of quality, people have put up packages, done interviews throughout the season. The quality of content, I have to say, is very impressive.
Absolutely. We've put in so much work this season for you guys at home, and we really do appreciate it. And expanding the sports that we've been covering on these bigger broadcasts has just been a pleasure for all of you guys.
And next year, look out for the younger talent coming into this program. Zoe Franklin, a younger student, she could be back on the mic a couple of times for the rest of her career here on CSBN. So look forward to that.
We'll just have to see.
So you see the highlight and roll into the right side. Pacheco going end zone. Kelly Hughesby just out of reach, but a flag. Panthers are going to be setting up inside the 5-yard line after that last play.
Pacheco's probably antsy to get a touchdown under his belt. Freshman, given that opportunity, you want to take advantage of it, but you have to play smart here.
Defense number 11. By rule, the ball would be placed in the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
So John Lopez getting a bit too physical with his hands, and the technique gets tough with, we talk about this receiving core and the talent. We see Justin Zimmer come back out, and the rotations in this offense, key thing that the head coach Owens talks about, as well as his younger brother, receiving coach, is you have to block on the outside. We're going to rely on your ability to get off the ball, be physical, and block downfield, because that opens it up in terms of if you want to catch the ball and have a chance in this offense, you're going to need to be able to be good with your hands, with your feet.
There is no foul for delay of game. Chapman called the timeout.
Oh, my bad.
First of the half.
So you get a great explanation, and Donovan Porter showing up over the loudspeaker for a second. Talk about Donovan Porter for a second. He's a really, really fun player to have gotten to know, honestly, on a personal level. At left tackle, big, strong, but so smart. You can talk about any subject. You want to talk about math, science, technology, history, even abstract things. This kid knows a lot, and there's a lot of players like that in this football program. And obviously for the other side in Cal Lutheran, this is not at all the result you would have looked forward to, being down by 40 points, and some of these guys, the last game of their career, and maybe they can finish strong with one solid quarter of football.
That would be really great, just on a personal victory. That's a lot of what this game has been about for these Kingsmen and these Panthers. Personal victories, show how much they've grown over the years, kind of playing for their love of football, love of the game.
And you see Espinoza done for the night. That Shaw offense coming out onto the field. First and goal from the 2-yard line in this set. In the backfield is Johnson, and they'll flip it on the reverse, giving it to Gross, and he's going to be blown up in the backfield. They get the older guy, another fifth-year senior, an opportunity on that play, but well read defensively on the Kingsman side.
Yeah, it was great to see him get that reception earlier, though. Harrison Gross, when you've been on this team for so long, we've talked about the big names, but there are those other seniors who you don't hear their names as often, but they're just as impactful in the locker room for team chemistry, all of that, and that's Harrison Gross.
Yeah, and it would imagine he's a bigger guy with not crazy speed, so I'd think you'd utilize maybe sides and getting him open on the outside and a 50-50 ball as opposed to maybe a faster player like Justin Zimmer, as they will hand it off, trying to get some yards back after the loss on first down to Thomas Johnson. It sets up a 3rd and goal. I'd imagine you'd let Pacheco just throw it right now. You don't really have a lot of pressure on this down. If something catastrophic goes, like something goes awry on this play, you're still going to be up by over 30 points. And let him take a shot. I want to see what Pacheco can do right now. 3rd and goal inside the 10-yard line, as they'll look to the sideline again. Use that word ice cream about a dozen times this year. It's what teams do. They fake the snap, try and draw him off. Pacheco going end zone. Harrison Gross, and it will fall to the ground, incomplete. Gross trying to get the first touchdown of his career as a Chapman Panther, and the special teams unit will come out to give the Panthers over 60 points.
Josh, is this their first time this season scoring over 60 points?
It would be. They had a big game against Laverne, scoring over 50 in that win. And tonight, that would put them over the mark as it goes through 62-19. Panthers continue to add to the lead, and the Kingsmen have tried to come back a couple of times. We saw some momentum earlier in the second half, but 13-17 remaining, and the Chapman Panthers have put on an absolute show in a game we thought would be close. We've seen 81 points.
You would have thought, because we saw 83 points in that first matchup between the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen and the Chapman Panthers. You would have thought that scoring would have been split a little closer down the middle, but like a seesaw. Chapman Panthers up, up, up. Cal Lutheran Kingsmen, they're that weight down at the bottom, just elevating those Panthers up.
Yeah, trying to pace it and keep it together, but oftentimes at the special team spot, they keep those players in all the way, as Owen Tapia back out to keep his punting duties, and as well as kickoffs. Ken Pyro's been excellent tonight with kicks. He's been perfect. As that is a nice kick. That will be Eakin for a touchback by Coxham. Decides not to return it, so we'll see whether this is Gonzalez or Lasher for Cal Lutheran, but a lot of the crowd stayed here to support their team.
They have, and if you're the Cal Lutheran Kingsmen, I think just on a personal level, you just want to give this all you got. It's very unlikely in this situation that they're able to come away with the win, so I just want to see them play some good football, something they can be proud of, knowing that they let their hearts out on this field.
And this will be Gonzalez in the game. Takes the snap, handoff, hurdling, bit of a jump, and nice gain on first down. Still surging forward right by that first down marker. They'll give him a gain of about 9 yards on first down, so just shy. Isaiah Martin continuing to have a successful season on the ground. He's been terrific and doesn't get all the credit that maybe he should with how well Lasher's played and moved the football on offense coming this game. 19 touchdowns, only 4 picks. As Gonzalez keeps it, doing a 360 little dance, spin move up to the 43-yard line.
Yeah, oftentimes football players, you'll see them on that professional level, they'll actually take dance classes to try and improve their footwork, see those spins, see those moves. I think I would love to see some of these Chapman wide receivers put on their ballet tights and shoes.
Oh, we would absolutely be thrilled. We call that, what is that? Is that a pirouette? Is that the correct way to describe?
That is, yes.
Fantastic. As Martin looking for the edge. He's got it, getting by defenders. Adam Andrade trips him up down at the 35-yard line, Chapman territory, and Martin continues to have success on the ground game. And that's the idea on the outside, is to come back, have a ceiling block, and as an edge defender, can't let that guy get to the outside of you. And there you see Martin seeing space, following his blocker to the outside, and a nice pickup. And, I mean, this situation, obviously not what you look for, but these are reps for Gonzalez in terms of being able to get there on the field and potentially going forward and having success. And the opportunity as helmet comes off, and this is like my favorite thing to talk about. His helmet comes off, has to come out. So that means they have to bring in different quarterback. It's out of player safety, and they bring in another player into the game once that helmet does come off, and you like to see that just in terms of protecting everybody, make sure they're safe, as this will be a 2nd and 8 after that play. It will be handed off up to Martin. Nice surge forward. Gonzalez comes back out onto the field. Under 11 minutes in this 4th.
Not the circumstance you want to get on, but if you're a young quarterback who doesn't really see much time on the field, any chance you get to play on, you take that opportunity.
Absolutely, and this is a Cal Lutheran team. We mentioned how they've played good throughout the year earlier, battling with Chapman, almost beating Pomona. And I mean, tonight it was just early in terms of working. And again, Martin staying low, physicality. It looked like he would be stopped after a gain of 3. Keeps the legs moving and picks up 4 yards.
Just this last display of athleticism that we've seen in this last drive from Martin, we can see why he gets so many yards per game, why they consistently go to him. It will be interesting to see what happens when he's not on that field, who they would go to. But for now, if it's working, why stop?
It's a great point. Just keep it on the ground. Obviously, clock does run out, but you know it's not realistic to the win, as this one will be lofted for the end zone. Man falling down in coverage. That's going to be a touchdown for Julio Angel. Nice throw from Gonzalez outside, and you can see Chapman defensive back in Zach Cox falling down on the outside, and easy touchdown for the Kingsmen.
That's got to feel good on a moral level, just knowing that you're not going to end this game down 40. You're still going to end it down, but know that you made a strike back and you still kept playing regardless.
Burgos's extra point will be good, and Cal Lutheran with 26 points on this game. So on the other side of things on this Chapman roster, and they do keep 5 coaches around here even in the offseason, and they're opening to players coming in to look at film throughout the season in terms of strength and conditioning coach Kevin Ashton, who is also defensive line coach for this team. Casey Shine, offensive coordinator. They have a lot of guys that stay here with the program and are here throughout, because this is a long time before you get to spring ball, which starts in March, and they go out and they start preparing for their 2023 season.
Absolutely, and seeing how they'll come back after those senior players, after this amazing farewell to them, seeing what they do, it's going to be very interesting, and we look forward to it here at CSBN.
Yeah, as we have 9:53 remaining, we'll see the Chapman offense again, which has been nothing short of incredible to watch here. So many points and big plays throughout. This will be fielded just inside the 5-yard line, taken out, up, trying to get it to the 25-yard line. That was Tyler Pearson, a wide receiver, young freshman player that came in and really just put his head down, honestly. There was some meetings throughout this year in the offseason where I sat next to Tyler. I'd be out at 8:30 a.m. sitting next to him. We'd be there. He would not say a word. I think it was about maybe 2 weeks before the first time we spoke to each other. He just...
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, return team number 85, his first of the game. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first
So that's
down.
Kelly Hughesby, and on that point, it's just the older guys in the room.
Correction,
really just
the foul was on the kicking team. 15-yard
I feel
penalty.
like a record here that's
First
like
and 10.
chopping with the PA going through, but continuing on Pearson, the younger guys, it's impressive. Guys coming in, having very successful. Pearson had some pretty cool high school highlights. I'm going to be honest, it's very nice stuff, but just not speaking, not even like caring about the older stuff, accolades, wanting to get better and learn as much as he can, be a sponge, and soak it all up. But we did finally speak. I'll break the suspense of that, and he's a really nice young kid with a bright future in this program.
Yeah, a lot of people, when they see football players, they might be intimidated to talk to them, but they're just people like you and I.
They are, and new football player in at quarterback, that's Brant Bachelet, tosses it out to the outside, and that's Tyler Olson with the grab, some extracurricular activity. The end of it. Crowd looking for a flag at the end of it, and could actually see in the crowd Tyler Olson's girlfriend missed the reception. One of Tyler's only grabs on the year. She wasn't paying attention. That's so tough. I could see the reaction when it was announced on the PA, and she missed the grab. So I'm shouting it out, calling her out for that. You gotta be paying attention because he's in the game now.
Luckily, she'll be able to watch it back on the CSBN broadcast on the SkyAC Network.
Another reason to watch the broadcast, and then we'll be getting some hate mail probably at some point from that for calling it out, I guess.
Speak for yourself. I said nothing.
All right, Zoe, you can hide under the I get whatever the cover, and I'll just take it all. That's fine. 3rd and 5 for the Panthers, trying to pick up a first down with 8 minutes left. And still, I mean, the crowd stayed, and a lot of these people have kids playing or friends, family, whatever the case is, and they have an opportunity to say hi to them after the game. And jumping off sides, Bachelet is going to take a shot downfield. And there was contact thrown on that as well. He was looking for Andrew Mortorano, another freshman wide receiver, and they're going to get pass interference down the field. And Andrew, they call him Little Cheese because of the last name kind of sounds like.
There are 2 fouls by the defense. Offside, that penalty is declined.
Yeah, they declined.
Pass interference, defense number 26, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, so they get him for pass interference, but back on Mortorano it's kind of a difficult last name. It's similar to mozzarella was the idea in the wide receiver room. So we don't want to say it. We're just going to call you Cheese. So they call him Cheese, and another one of these players on this team, they call the other one, so it rotates Big Cheese and Little Cheese. 2 of the freshman wide receivers. As we have a fumble, Bachelet able to completely corral that.
Oh, and we have a player down.
And we have a flag at the end of all of it.
This crowd is not happy at the moment.
No, they're not, and we're probably going. It's possible we could get an ejection after this discussion if the coach is pulling his player over.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 44, his first of the game.
As you see a shot of some Chapman volleyball players. Leighton Gagnon there in the crowd, one of Chapman's outside hitters who played in her last career game this year.
Chapman has called their second timeout of the half.
And the Panthers will take a timeout, and I'll continue on this path and speaking about the young wide receiver core, because in the broadcast next year, that's who are going to be a main focal point, is who is going to be around Nathaniel Espinoza to keep the success that he has. He's done so well, but this is only his first year in this offense and should be able to do maybe even better next year in learning the scheme and being healthy.
Absolutely. You know, we talked about it. We've talked about it all year. That very first play of his very first game for Chapman really hurt himself, tore his meniscus. He's been on and off all year, had to kind of nurse that. But if this is him playing conservatively, I am frightened for any Chapman opponents when he is at 100%.
Oh, and you should be. And the defense, and you see the Chapman cheerleaders and a couple of seniors. You can see the Jackson twins in their last home appearance cheering with Bachelet, quarterback in, and opportunities for reps. There was competition. This was not just written off for Nathaniel Espinoza. There was 8 quarterbacks in the spring that came in, as well as 9 that one came in this summer. And he had to win that job outright, and he did so. It was a handoff. Go to the right side, and again, more physicality. You can see maybe some Cal Lutheran players just want to get out of here and we saw some, I mean, Michigan State, we can talk about that. There was in the Big House, that tunnel poses issues with teams have to go to the same spot, and some Michigan State players ended up being kind of physical and hurting like a Michigan player after that football game.
And that's never anything you want to see. Obviously, very passionate players, but you don't want to see malforce.
And a handoff that'll go to Fuentes. And trying to pick up some yards, and third down. I'd imagine if you give Batchelor a chance to throw it again, you can always, this situation, no matter what you call it, is probably going to work out if you're a head coach. But still, in these wide receivers and the running back group, you're going to be returning next year with a pretty relatively, I mean, the level of a team is going to be there. You can see a new quarterback in. That's Frankie Marsh in the game. Frankie Stars, excuse me.
Just the amount of depth on this Chapman roster is unparalleled when you think about just how many quarterbacks we've seen in this game getting their shot really to get on this field.
It is, and I mean, I was talking about that room, and praise Owens for dealing with, and that's 2.0, Michael Owens, the wide receiver coach, and his ability to take. It's intimidating when you have some of the success that there has been in the wide receiver room, like an all-conference player like Corona. And then you have a guy like Harden and Krall that have been there and coaching these guys, and they go out and they're close to breaking records. So an incredible job on that side, coming into a new role and doing nicely. And next year, there's a lot of hope. If you're a Chapman Panther fan moving forward, this is a talented group. Handoff will go up the middle, and it'll be a first down for Chapman. The clock will continue to churn as we wind it down, approaching the 5-minute mark.
And I want to say this before the score possibly changes, but if you look at the score, it's very interesting, 26-62. If this were a word, that would be a palindrome. It means it's the same backwards and forwards like the word race car. We have 26-62. Just another fun fact for you here on CSBN.
Also like the words mom and dad. I have my parents here tonight watching this game. My last football broadcast for CSBN here tonight to support, and they're out there sitting through it in the cold, so big shout out to them and how they've been able to support as we have a man shooting through the middle. Always definitely would not have been able to, I guess, do some of these games at that level. They're always there to help me out, give me feedback, as well as I praise a lot of people in CSBN for doing the same thing. It's a team process, and other members in the control room right now working hard. It's a team effort. There's usually over 20, 25, maybe 30 people on each of these broadcasts putting it together. Each person's role just as important.
Absolutely. Here at football, they've had their senior night. We're having our own sort of senior night here at CSBN. We'll shout out those names in just a second because this truly couldn't be done without all of them.
Another handoff going to the right side and bottled up. Nice play defensively. And the Kingsmen, again, the Panther fans looking for a flag. They want to get some more points, and Thomas Johnson. But in the leadership on this unit, we can see that front line. You can see guys like on that right side, like who I really have been impressed by. I mean, in terms of like the offseason, has been a player like Mateo and Gavin Scott filled in on the right side, and a guy like Andy, who maybe had some struggles. They did some conditioning earlier in the season, one of the first practices, but on that offensive line and going up in the backfield is Johnson, some of the younger freshmen. And again, we have some contact there in the end zone, as well as in the booth. I think Zoe just tried to hit stick me. I dropped a piece of paper. She just threw her full body weight down. I'm like, might be concussed or something up here. I should be fine, though.
You know, I've just been too into this broadcast, really into the idea of putting my head down and focusing up, you know. We've been out here for calling this game, you know. We're standing, we're watching.
They're lucky there's no replay on that. Might have been a targeting call we see in college football. You can kick a player out, and right there, you lowered the helmet, the crown came right into me. You know, it's all good, though, as we're under the 3-minute mark. Stars will try and get rid of it. This is going to be incomplete And because there's a wide receiver within 10 yards, there won't be intentional grounding. Trying to get the football to Krautwald. And field goal. Get some more points. And probably on the field for the last time in his career is the holder in Wyatt Harden, probably for his last snap as a Chapman Panther at home, that is.
Yes, they still have one more match against Laverne, at Laverne. That'll be next week. And for a lot of seniors, this game, very emotional. That game, very emotional as well. We have seniors here, too, at Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network that we really do want to shout out. We have a couple graduating this semester, our director, Emma Sexton, our technical director, Devin Hoot, as well as our soccer producer, Ryan Deeb, who, if you were paying attention or joined us earlier, we have playoff soccer tomorrow on CSBN. But some other seniors, our executive producer, Callista Kirk. On graphics, we have Colin Gaja. Down at the sidelines, we have Sophie Bobel, who is also a senior on the Chapman volleyball team, if you watch that broadcast. And of course, the man who's been calling this game all night, the one to my left, Josh Blinder. It's been a pleasure calling this game. Obviously, you're a senior. It's a night for you too.
Yeah, I've been absolutely just thrilled, and it's been an incredible opportunity to call these games and really grow. And there's no opportunities like the ones here at Chapman University and Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network. Just hope that moving forward, the level can continue to stay where it is, because it's an incredible program and has a lot of bright futures for many students with hands-on skills. As Coxon will take it out, crossing the 20, out crossing the 30-yard line. Nice return out to the 36. And kind of staying on that point there, it's a club. Right? Anyone can join. Doesn't matter. You don't have to be a broadcast journalism student. You can hop on and whatever you want to do and get out. So me basically leaving, there's an opportunity for people to hop on those broadcasts, as I was usually pretty excited to hop on and put some work in. And look at Zoe Franklin staying with it and doing this game. Glad to see that. And of course, throughout, we've seen Stephen Hogenkamp, Alejandro Flores throughout do these games. And of course,
we can't forget Dan Batson,
yes,
of course.
Yes, Dan Batson, and doing volleyball, football games. The future is bright for CSBN, even with a lot of talented seniors moving forward, like Colin Gaja, who's been really helpful. People also do Chapman News, which is something big around Chapman. Got a broadcast this upcoming Tuesday if people want to watch that, 1 o'clock. As we'll take that handoff right side. Picking up gain of 12 yards, moving the sticks. Nice run on first. Kind of staying on that point here. We're wrapping up the game under 2.5 minutes. Anyone can join, and it's a fun experience. It's nerve-wracking, at first calling it, but just being able to go out there and try and improve a little bit in the family type atmosphere around the club. And that handoff goes up the middle again. Nice pickup. And talk about, the university on the other side, Chapman football team, and how welcoming they've been and supportive towards students that want to get an interview or a package together, or sit in on every single meeting and go to every practice and ask hundreds of questions, or with the players, and everybody's so invested in this program. So I have a underneath throw that will fall incomplete, and the commitment to keep getting better. Coach Owens loves the amount of energy that people put into it, and it gives an opportunity for people to act in a professional way.
Absolutely. And as we're nearing the end of this game, we hear behind us here at Ernie Chapman Stadium, we hear fireworks coming over from Disneyland. We're very close here in Orange, California. Kind of just a perfect symbol at the end of the night on senior night, just ending it off in fireworks.
Yeah, 65 points, all the fireworks you could ask for. As a handoff, nice burst on the right side is Coxon up to the 39-yard line, and a first down. The clock will momentarily stop and get under the minute 30. Beautiful shot. Man, that is as nice as it gets. You can see a bit of clouds even, a beautiful night. Didn't even get that cold up here. Beautiful temperature. Just perfect football weather.
We were a little bit afraid of that ourselves. You know, these football guys, they're running around, they can stay warm. We're just standing here right on top.
Over the middle of the field, and that will almost be intercepted. Trying to come across and catch that one. And right, perfect opportunity.
But we see a couple flags on the field towards that halfway point.
Yeah, we'll see exactly.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense number 65, his first of the game, 15-yard penalty, third down.
That's going to be Cal Lutheran's left guard, and we've seen a lot of penalties and frustrations on, I guess, both sides, and just trying to keep this. We'll see if they have a handshake after this game. I don't know. You don't want something to break out. Sometimes they just decide to bring teams to the opposite sides of the field so they don't see each other and something can potentially break out.
I can't imagine there are too many kind feelings going on right now.
Play action, left side, dumping it off. And again, you can see some pushing and shoving, the chippiness, people like to say. It's like a word I know a lot of football fans talk, like that word chippy, when it starts to get like basketball playoffs, or, you know, you got the World Series that has been going on also. And when it gets to that, you got sometimes pitchers throwing at batters, and also, you know, basketball, fouls near the basket, as it looks like Cal Lutheran's going to decide to give it one last try on a 4th and 23 on 48-yard line.
I mean, at this point, what do they have to lose? If they make it, then that's a nice feather in their cap to end off this game.
Rolling around, is going to try and get out of it, but sacked behind the line back at the 40. And Cal Lutheran does have 3 timeouts, so if they wanted to use them on this next possession, they could do so. The clock actually continues to run. It should have stopped. I don't know why they're still running it right now. I guess they had one more play. I guess it was 3rd down. Actually, pretty confused on this situation at the moment in terms of what the refs are deciding.
And now we finally see the clock is stopped at about 15 seconds.
15 seconds. Yeah, so they're just trying to get the offense. They were confused. I was confused too about, like, they had to get their offense out there. Look at the defense was going to try and run a play. That would have meant a couple of guys like Jordan Bruce would have to play center or something like that.
I would love to see Cade Jordan throwing the football. I think that would be just an absolute ball.
Oh, that'd be very interesting to see them do it. And the last snap of this game, you can see them given Tanner Mendoza, Harrison Gross, and Spencer Corona opportunities to walk out onto the field for the last snap. It looks like Brandon Yu. Snap will be taken by, looks like Wade Smith, and we'll wrap things up here on Chapman Sports Broadcasting Network.
Well, we see some sportsmanlike conduct there, you know, giving them a friendly tap on the back, you know, and an actual friendly tap on the back, not a little stab.
Yeah, absolutely. And that wraps it up. 65-26, the final score. 65 points from the Chapman Panthers. A lot of success on that side of the ball. And Cal Lutheran, definitely not the result you wanted to coming into this one on the road. And you have announcements with, again, people being able to walk out there and support their family. After that, you see that last final shot of some of the cheerleaders coming together. The last game, senior night. Chapman Panthers take the win, Zoe.
Yeah, that's exactly what you wanted if you're the Chapman Panthers. You wanted that win. You wanted to make a statement, and they certainly did that tonight.
They did. So let's take a look at some of the highlights throughout this game. I don't know exactly what they put together and through. It was a lot. So we can start it off. That first play of the game. Or this was just kickoff in the second half, and A big return, but it comes back. Holding call. And Cal Lutheran cocks him with the return that ended up being called back.
That kind of set the precedent for this entire half. Just they made some really good plays, these Cal Lutheran Kingsmen, but just those penalties and calling them back, it really hurt them.
Blocked punt from Tanner Mendoza. I'm sure he's going to be absolutely ecstatic. He blocked a punt. Sure, Dylan Keefe somewhere is smiling about that punt block. And then we saw a nice run on the offensive side of the ball. Coming through was Isaiah Martin getting the edge. So we see some of these highlights from Cal Lutheran in the second half. They're doing a pretty good job developing. And we saw Zach Cox falling down and Julio Angel coming up with a touchdown reception. And Jack Cartwright on this play shooting through. Barely touch in the end zone. And then do we get the rebound? Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we go.
He does the kind of like the cartwheel. So yeah, the nickname really sticking together right there. Jack Cartwheel doing some of that wrestling type stuff. Pretty cool, Zoe.
Absolutely. You know, it was technically a round off, but I'm no gymnast, so I'll keep a secret for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe something we can add to the repertoire would be maybe like a live CSBN broadcaster doing a backflip. How cool would that be if you could just right now do a backflip?
Oh, I would love to be able to do a backflip right now, but unfortunately, I'd like to be able to broadcast more games in the future, so I'll leave that to Cartwright over there.
Yes, I mean, speaking to that, and in terms of this team, senior night, they come away with a win. A lot of happy campers around Chapman University after this one, and I know down the sideline, Josh Feinhersh is down there, probably pretty excited. What do you got, Josh?
And it was a great game here tonight. Chapman coming away with the resounding victory, 65-26. The seniors over here behind me in the huddle enjoying themselves after an amazing win. The energy in this crowd was insane. And the thing that hyped up the crowd the most had to be Jack Cartwright, the senior running back's backflip in the end zone was an amazing sight to see. Definitely made me jealous that I cannot do a backflip or any flip for that matter. Thank you all for watching. I've been your sideline reporter, Joshua Feinhersh. I hope you enjoyed our CSBN broadcast. Back to you, Josh and Zoe, at the desk.
Great job down there, Josh. Insight throughout the game. Excited and opportunity. First time we've seen him one of these games. And so we'll toss it to the seniors and what we have here on CSBN on that. And like their ability, I mean, throughout, you know, this season, Zoe.
Absolutely. The CSBN seniors have just been incredible. Their impact, we can't state that enough.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about, I think that you have to say Ryan Deeb, Devin Hoot, the animation, Emma Sexton, and Deeb. I know he's got the soccer and all that stuff. He's excited about Devin Hoot and his interests, and Sexton. A lot of these people very talented, graduating in the fall this year in the winter. So very bright futures ahead for them coming forward. I know Emma was in the control room today, as well as Devin.
Yes,
Hoot.
And Devin's been responsible for these amazing graphics that we've seen. I was working over here in the summer, and so was he on these graphics. It was just incredible. You think summer vacation, laying out in the sun? No, Devin was working on CSBN.
Oh, absolutely, him putting in the work. And so, yep, I mean, that game, that winds it up. Chapman Panthers, tomorrow's broadcast, it's going to be another, Tier 1 type thing for people who should tune into that. This has been Josh Blinder and Zoe Franklin. Last time on a broadcast for Chapman football for me, so just got to say that it's been my absolute pleasure, throughout the last 2 years doing these games and the support from everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. And signing off. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you guys so much.